This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
And the pitch is swung on, hit the right field, hit deep. Whitefield going back at the track, over his head, and over the wall. Do you believe that?
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Ramirez with a drive to deep right, away back, gone.
Go Hayes! Gets a bomb out there by the Rocks. And boy, oh boy, this third inning is now showtime.
It is a Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to spin rates to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live. I've got great news to start the show, reviewing all the notes, and Houston's really struggling right now. I mean, if you could ever catch Houston at a time, you really want to get them when they're not hitting, they're not pitching. This is a time for the A's to go in and look sweet, because I look at these notes, and I look at them every single day. The Astros are in blue.
There's a lot in there about them.
There's a lot.
They're pretty good.
Wow. I mean, you want to talk about firing on all cylinders? I know, at the end of the clubhouse show yesterday, I was getting you ready for today's action, and I looked and went, they're now 20 games over 500. Things have changed in Houston. Stella has gotten her groove back, but I think this is a great deal for the young Oakland Athletics. I think it's great. Young teams going in, and they get to see what the world champs look like. These are the world champs. As Ric Flair has said for all these years,
to be the man, you got to beat the man.
You got to see how it works. What do these guys do? This isn't the Angels. This isn't the Mariners. This isn't the sorry-ass Rangers. These are the world champs. These are the guys that have been to the playoffs and the ALCS 6 straight years. Think about that. Modern day sports, more playoffs, more teams. It's a tournament. It is hard to do. It is hard to win. And they have been to the ALCS 6 straight years. Now you could look at 2020 where that was abnormal as they were an under 500 team and they got in, but whatever. They still made it to the ALCS. 4 World Series appearances. 4 World Series appearances in 6 years. I mean, really, it's only the Yankees, late 90s, and before then, who even did it before that? Nobody. I mean, the A's had the run in the 80s where they went to 3 straight. They had the run in the 70s, they went to 3 straight. Cincinnati Reds went to back-to-back, 75, 76. I mean, just going. The Blue Jays went back-to-back. And I'm not talking winning. I'm just talking going to the World Series. They've been to the World Series 4 out of 6 years. Other than that, we'd have to really research that. Other than the Yankees, 89, 99, 2000, 2001.
98, 99, 2000.
98, 99,
yeah.
2002, that's 4.
Yeah. And then they're in it again in 03.
But in a 6-year span, 4, you got that group of Yankees. Who before that? So it's pretty incredible, the run that these Astros have been on. And I think it's great for our players to see this and to be a part of it, to watch it. They should be like sponges. Watch what they do. Come out early. Watch their BP. Watch how they prepare. During the games, take mental notes. What's Bregman doing? You know why? Because Bregman shows up in the postseason. Altuve's a future Hall of Famer. Yordan Alvarez, probably on that route also. Kyle Tucker, he's still leading the American League in RBIs. This guy's been unbelievable for years.
Does a player fly under the radar more than him? I mean, I feel like no one ever taught. When you talk about the Astros, it's always Altuve, Bregman, Jordan. I mean, even Jose Abreu gets mentioned more than Kyle Tucker does.
I'll give you one. You ready? You want an answer, right,
Like
to your question?
A player who flies under the radar?
On a team of greatness, when you look at how good he was. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
Bernie Williams.
Yeah.
Bernie Williams, through that stretch of all those players, Bernie Williams had the best OPS, the best OPS plus, the most RBIs, played a premier defensive position, center field. What was everybody talking about? Derek Jeter. They talked about the pitchers.
Posada.
Paul O'Neill, Tino Martinez. I mean, all these guys that they had during that run. Here comes Roger Clemens. You got David Cone. David Wells was a big personality. Andy Pettit is there. Mariano Rivera. You had all these guys. Yeah, I mean, at one point you had Wade Boggs at third base with Charlie Hayes, Key Brian Hayes' father. We had all that. Chuck Knobloch came in, who was an all-star player. They had all these guys. But if you look at the actual stats and the guy that no one's saying, well, why isn't he a Hall of Famer? And we had him on our show. It was an honor to have him on the show because Bernie Williams, his life and where he is now as a musician, as a legit selling, he sells his music, a legit musician. And the fact that he's one of these guys kind of reminds me of Barry Zito, where baseball is something he used to do, and he's now transformed himself into I have a new career. I have a new passion. You know, a lot of people will just be, I made millions. I was a baseball player, and I'm going to go play golf and go to celebrity golf tournaments and go to functions and, you know, maybe be a consultant or something like that. Now, Bernie Williams has a full-on music career now. It was an honor to interview him and to bring him on from the Coliseum and him remembering all those magic moments for, unfortunately, not the A's, for the Yankees, but battles against the A's. But Bernie Williams would be my guy. If you say Kyle Tucker, I would say, yeah, he'd be like Bernie Williams, where you have all these great players. Bernie never won the MVP. Did Bernie ever get
He won the ALCS MVP once.
Okay, that's it?
Yeah.
Go tell me what his postseason numbers were. I already know his regular season numbers were better than all those other guys. Playing center field, too.
In the postseason, he hit 275, 22 home runs, 80 runs driven, and had an 850 OPS.
12 years in the postseason.
Yeah.
Think about that.
121 games.
Playing center field. He's not playing third. He's not playing left. Not playing. He's playing the premier. There's three premier defensive positions. There's center, there's short, there's catcher. And he was playing center field and hit big-time home runs. So I'd say, yeah, to Kyle Tucker. I mean, they're loaded. I mean, everybody's talking about the Atlanta Braves. Everybody's talking about the Los Angeles Dodgers again. But I tell you what, the Houston Astros, a team that I hate them and will always hate them. But to me, we're past the cheating thing.
6 years ago now?
Yeah, the cheating, they were past that. I mean, what they've won and what they continue to win, we can still hate them. I'm not telling anybody not to hate them. I'm not telling them not to go in after them. I even like it when Springer shows up to town and we go after him. Don't ever let them forget. But I got a lot of respect. And my whole point is young players learn. Like, how many times in other sports do you say, well, man, I was sitting there and I was watching Michael Jordan. I watched Magic. I watched Bird. I watched Hakeem Olajuwon. I watched Tim Duncan. I guess watching Shaq wouldn't matter because no one's Shaq. But I watched Kobe. Like, you watch, I'll never forget watching Kobe warm up. It was at the end of his career. Kobe would come out like all players do, and he literally went for 45 minutes like he was not playing that night. It was a workout that was, and then at the time, Rick Bucher was my partner. He goes, yeah, watch it. No one does this in the NBA. It was unreal how hard he worked and the lather he got hours before the game. And knowing that he probably already lifted because he was a morning guy, Kobe would get up 5, 6 in the morning and lift. And I think he would show up to the arena, go through that hard a workout, and then go out and play that hard that night. Well, you don't think as a young guy you notice that and you see that and you don't go, damn. So a Hall of Famer looks like. So I think it's important that our young guys get a chance to see that. Martin Gallegos from MLB.com is going to be here at 2:30. Matt Kawahara. We're not talking A's with Matt Kawahara.
We're talking Astros.
Why?
Astros, I guess we can't say honk, but Astros writer now for the Chronicle in Houston.
I want to know.
What's it like living in Houston now?
Big
change.
I want to know if he got what kind of flack he got from the trolls. Right? Because remember, Houston comes to the American League. They go through a rebuild mode, and we were kicking their ass. #Astros. We pounded these guys. I remember on one show, it was because I've made a lot of bad predictions. That's just #fact.
By the way, we will go over them for the season. We will go over all of our predictions for the eighth season.
No, but I've made some bad. Those were all. We knew the team was going to be bad. Those were almost jokingly. We're almost kind of spoofing.
Johnny Dosco does not joke when he does predictions.
He stinks.
Yeah, well, still can't let him down for that Cardinals and White Sox pick.
But I had that prediction. What was it, 13 or 14, when I was on 95.7 The Game, where I said the AL West will come down to your record against the Astros because they were that bad. And it was true. I think we only lost like 1 or 2 games to them. It was a big part of us winning the division.
It would have been 20.
And we hammered those guys. And then all of a sudden the cheating scandal and all the stuff, and we hammered them then. They don't like us, right? So I'm curious to see what the trolls in Houston did to Kawahara when he came over from the A's beat. And then the leader of men. Do you have the Monday Night Football theme?
Not the Monday Night Football. I have the Bills theme.
You better get the Monday Night Football theme first.
By the way, they went 15,
dun, 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 dun.
15-4 versus the Astros in 2013.
Where's my Raiders hat? We will get to that. Raiders, Cowboys, Super Bowl. Is that what we're taking from week 1 in the National Football League?
Who'd you say Raiders?
Jimmy G, the gunslinger.
Who'd you say Raiders and who?
Cowboys.
Ooh, that's a good one. Cowboys didn't. Did the Giants even get off the bus yesterday?
Best thing I saw on Twitter. Best thing I saw on Twitter last night. I went on very briefly as I was doing my walk. I think it was Barstool. Somebody had it. Giant fan, fully painted, dark, or what would you call them? Navy blue? What's big blue?
I don't know what their color would be. I just think, I always hear they never say they say big blue.
Big blue. He's in that blue, painted, red stripe, whole face painted, right? Bald guy, whole head painted. And he's just looking just like his dog died. Can you imagine opening night, Sunday Night Football, the world is watching, your dumbass paints his entire head to go to the game because you're such a fan. You're such a fan. And you get caught on national TV looking like your dog died. That is going to be out there forever. Because if you know that guy, you are going to throw that in his face for the rest of his life.
I feel like, especially during the NFL season, we get a lot of great memes and gifs from New York football, the New York City football. And I'm not throwing the Bills in there because they have memes that are just them jumping in the table. So you know, Jets and Giants or Cowboy fans when their teams lose, guys just throwing TVs and throwing things around. And I feel like that's what it's always Giants, it's always NFC East team. Well, not Washington, but so those teams mainly.
The Commanders, they got a win yesterday.
Big win, kept us alive in my wife's Kaiser Survivor poll. $50K on the line in this. We got it.
Are you allowed to do that as a baseball employee?
That's not baseball. Well, it's my wife's money anyway, and it's her.
All right.
I just make the picks.
I'm not auditing you. I'm just saying.
I just make the picks.
I am a Major League Baseball employee, so I stay away from all type of gambling unless I am actually in the great state of Nevada, the Silver State, which I will be. Guy's trip is set November 3rd, Reno, Nevada. We will be flying from the South Bay to Reno. 28 minutes in the air, in the casino in 45 minutes. Then I'm legal. You can't do anything to me.
That's not true.
That is true. Once I'm in Nevada, you can't do anything to me, Major League Baseball. I'm a big baller shot caller.
I'll be in Vancouver while you're
Just
there.
throwing money around the casino.
Who has more snow, you or me? You're in Reno, and I'll be in Vancouver.
There'll be no, because I'm hoping to play golf.
Oh, okay, so yeah. Hopefully
I
it's not
played
snowing in
golf
Vancouver.
last year in the snow. Swear to God.
You guys went to the San Jose State game last year, right?
Ball hit the green. Bing! It was gone. It was frozen. I'm like, what are we doing out here?
Right, that was San Jose State last year when you went up there, right?
No, San Jose State was playing San Diego State.
Oh, I thought you went there when you were
how about those Spaztecs getting it ran up on them by the Bruins at home? Mountain West starting to shape up. Our get-back game against Cal Poly this weekend. We have so much to talk about.
Weather delay, but
we're already running Nick Saban out of town. Nick Saban's he's the greatest coach of all time. Running him out of town.
I already got a guy that can replace him.
Oh, Dion.
Coach
Dion's
Prime.
not going out. I already told you it's going to be. Well, my Dion thing to the Cowboys, if McCarthy keeps winning, it's week 1. Baker Mayfield is not the greatest quarterback of all time.
Is he better than
Stop it.
Is he already better than Tom Brady in Tampa Bay?
Did you see some of the bad throws Derek Carr had?
I'm sorry, but I checked their record, and they're him and Dennis Allen and John Gruden are 1-0.
I sent out someone put out there yesterday. It was the standings of the AFC West with the pictures of the quarterbacks out front. The lovely Jimmy G.
Yeah, I saw that.
Raiders 1-0. Everybody else 0-1. We're back, baby. Raider football.
Who do the Raiders play next week?
No idea. Can't worry about that. Just
take it one week at a time. Well, you got to know.
It's basking on it's baseball season. I'm not in that yet. Who do they play next week?
Let's see. Raiders. Oh, Raiders Bills.
Well, I will not mention that to Fran.
In Buffalo.
I will not mention that to Fran. By the way, you don't have your Steeler hat on.
Well, they didn't show up.
Where's your Steeler hat?
That was an embarrassing effort.
I mean, I had to get up for A's Total Access, brought to you by Chevron. I had to get ready for my pregame show, 10 o'clock in the morning. San Francisco 49ers are the local team. Turned it on. Wait, is that the Steelers? Who are those imposters in Steelers jerseys? Wow, you guys stink.
There's only one good takeaway from the game. TJ Watt's still pretty good. That's about it.
Good luck with that one. Good luck with that one.
3 sacks.
Oh, yeah. How'd that work out?
Yeah, they only lost by 23. First game of the year. Tomlin's
Hey, all that. Hey, we've only had 3 head coaches maybe going out the window. I'm just saying.
Oh, wow. Tomlin's getting fired already?
I'm just saying. By the way, more importantly than our shenanigans, Major League Baseball and its clubs will continue baseball's tradition of honoring those lives that were affected or lost on September 11th, 2001, while also paying tribute to the men and women who continue to bravely serve our communities and country 22 years after the tragic events of that day. In addition to pregame ceremonies around the league, all players, managers, coaches from the Mets and Yankees will have the option of wearing NYC first responder caps. All other teams on September 11th will wear a Memorial September 11th ribbon on the right side of their caps. And I'm so glad that we do this. And, you know, we all go back to that day, where we were, what it was like, and how Major League Baseball in so many ways in our country's history has helped us heal. You know, at that point, where we were on September 11, 2001, I was working at KMBR at the time. I was on the morning show, the Gary Radnich morning show. And I remember, as you get in early, our board op, who had been there throughout the night, said, "Hey, come here. A plane has crashed in the World Trade Center." And at that point, you're like, you know, you weren't thinking much about it. And you're just kind of sitting there watching the news, and you're getting ready for the show. And it was getting close to where I always open the show up with a sports update and a little bit of a commentary. And then Gary would come in. He would come in as the show had just basically started. He sat in his car and would wait. And he'd always grab my shoulder, let me know he was there, and I would finish. And then he'd pop on, and it's the Gary Radnich show. And as I was sitting there, all of a sudden the second plane hit. And it was like, oh my God, we're under attack. And then I had to go in and do a sports update. And why it was significant, the sports update, was because this was at a point where Barry Bonds was tracking, of course, KMBR being the giant station, Barry Bonds is tracking down Mark McGwire's record. And they were in Houston at the time, back when the Houston was in the National League. And before you know it, games were canceled. Games were canceled for days. But it was really baseball that helped us have a distraction and come back, because we were all so glued to the news and the devastation and the lives lost. And we couldn't believe that this happened. You know, we hadn't seen anything like this in our lifetimes. The last time was Pearl Harbor. So it was baseball that people started getting away from the news a little bit. And baseball brought us back to a little normalcy. And obviously what happened in New York, I'm glad that we see it. We just saw it last night with the hats of the New York Giant people. And you're going to see it with Mets and Yankees. The Yankees are taking on the Boston Red Sox. So I'm just glad that baseball still does this year after year, because at some point it could have been where you kind of let it go. But I'm glad that they don't. And I'm glad that baseball just doesn't make it a New York thing. The same thing, same way we do, you know, because at some point it could have been Jackie Robinson just could have been a Dodger thing. But we don't. We do it throughout Major League Baseball. And I think it's key that we continue to do this. And I think Major League Baseball has done a great job continuing to honor, and we'll do it all around the ballparks, because there will be people who were just little kids during that time and they don't remember. And obviously when you're a child, you don't remember a lot of things. So it's something that, I mean, you were really young.
7th grade.
Yeah, you were in 7th grade.
And I grew up, and where I lived was only about 40 miles from where Flight 93 went down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And they've done a really nice job of turning that into a beautiful memorial that they've done there. My wife and I went back in 2018 before we went to the All-Star game in DC, and my family and I, my mom and dad, my wife and I went up there, and it's really well done. They did a really good job of, you know, remembering everyone that lost their lives that day. And yeah, 7th grade. It's crazy to think that was 22 years ago and I was in 7th grade. So I would have been 12 years old.
Well, I think about my own kids who are now seniors in high school, and they obviously weren't born yet. And when we did our 2019 East Coast trip, and I took them to the World Trade Center Memorial, and it was just, wow, being there, because I had been to the World Trade Center, and then now you're standing there, and you know, I'd been to New York, but I hadn't been to that south part of Manhattan, and it's so long, and now to be there and they're gone, and to go through there and to go through, everybody should go. They did a spectacular job. And I actually, and a former Cal football player, baseball player, Brent Woodall, who was a tight end for Cal, very terrific athlete, ended up getting drafted as a tight end. He was a massive left-handed pitcher. Well, I played with him in the San Diego Collegiate League, so I got to know him. And he was unfortunately lost his life working in the World Trade Center. So to go in there and to see his picture was like, wow. But they did a great job. And so I made sure I took my kids there. And I think everybody, if you get a chance to go to New York, make sure you go to the memorial and go see it. And it's to look at like what some of the fire engines look like, how some of the steel was just twisted and everything. And to know what that day was like, what it was like in the city and what it was like in New York and what people went through. So if you get a chance to go to New York, I highly recommend that you do that. And I think it's important that, you know, for like my children, because my children, you know, they look at it and they go, oh my God, this really happened? Like, yeah, this really happened. And so you want generations to know, and you don't want people to forget. And what we do realize too is that those first responders, for what they went through and how many have died since, because of when you're rummaging through what they were breathing in and all the things that affected them. So many have died since they did everything they could trying to save people. It may have not cost them their lives on that day, but years later, there's so many first responders have lost their lives because of their bravery. And because of their bravery. And I want to make sure we don't forget them either, Because, yes, you may have died later, but you're dying from causes of what you did trying to save people and being in that rubble for, just not days, weeks, months. And what that did to your body obviously was so unhealthy. And so we don't want to forget them either.
No, well said. And I haven't got a chance to go to the memorial in New York, but I've never actually been to New York City yet, but I will eventually get there. And it's at the top of my list of things I want to see there. So I'm glad baseball is doing it. We know we'll see it tonight with Jets and Bills as well, because it's two New York teams playing, especially they're playing in New Jersey, but it's the Jets. So they'll do a nice job with that too. But it's nice that baseball does this every year. And it's not you said, it's not just a New York thing.
MetLife looks right.
Yeah.
Where
the Meadowlands,
right where the, when they were practicing, you would see the Flames. I mean, it's just right across the Hudson.
Yeah. So
I know you've never been to New York as a person who grew up on the East Coast and never been to New York.
Yeah. I've been to New York, just never New York City. My family weren't big city people. I went to upstate New York.
For what? What would you go to upstate New York for?
My aunt was in from great aunt was in from Ireland, and she had a house there.
In upper state New York?
Yeah. I did go to Coney Island though, so I guess I did make it close to New York City. Wow. I had Nathan's hot dog. I was
Did
young.
You have a Nathan's?
I think I was like 10 when I went there. I mean,
how many did you have? Did you have 70 in 10 minutes?
I'm not like the greatness that is Joey Chestnut.
Greatness that is. Saw something. I don't know how people feel about it. Like in life, some people think black and white. Like you want right or wrong, yes or no. I don't know how many people think that way, but some people do, some people don't. But I know a lot of people do. And I think that way. And I've always been somebody that, and this is just something I saw literally, it's 2:30? I saw this at 1:30 and I went, the technology is changing amongst us in baseball. And I know that scares people. But ever since we brought in Hawkeye, and Hawkeye was a technology used in tennis. So if you're ever watching tennis, which probably if you watch this show, probably a lot of you don't. But if you are one of these people that watches tennis, and you would see where they could show you exactly where the ball hit, whether it was on the line, not on the line. I mean, you're like, oh, pretty cool. It's in or it's out. And the problem that we have had with Hawkeye calling balls and strikes, there's just some wild looking calls, doesn't seem right. What are the strike zones? You can't just say, hey, every single guy who's 5'9" has the same strike zone. That's not the case. How tall is Ricky Henderson?
I was going to say like 5'9", 5'10".
I mean, Ricky and I are pretty much eye to eye.
5'10".
Yeah, so he's 5'9". Ricky and I did the same thing. I said I was 5'10". Hell, I said I was 5'11". I'm 5'9". Ricky and I are eye to eye. I've interviewed him a bazillion times. We're eye to eye. Well, Ricky Henderson squats, right? So how could Ricky Henderson's strike zone be that of a guy who's 5'9"? It just isn't. He has a rare batting stance where he gets super low and crouches. So his strike zone really is like that. Pete Rose did that. So you couldn't give them a strike zone and say, well, Ricky Henderson's 5'10". All right, I'll go with that. He's 5'10". He gets a 5'10" strike zone. So my point is, not every 5'10" guy, not every 6 feet, 6'3", whatever. Not everybody is the same. All bodies are different. All stance are different. Like Giancarlo Stanton, who's straight up weird stance, is going to, just because a guy could be the exact same size, was he like 6'5"?
He's a massive human being.
Like a guy who's 6'5" kind of crouches a little bit more. They're not going to have the same strike zone.
6'6".
He's 6'6". So it's tough to say ABS, Advanced Balls and Strikes, powered by Hawkeye, I guess, has made some breakthroughs. And now the technology is able to. Oh, were we out of time here?
Martine's here, but you can finish your thought.
I'm just going to say, we're going to have to get back. they've now made it to where, because of where they're taking it from a person's hip, that it's basically they can have 2 balls above your hip would be the top part of your strike zone. So we are getting closer to them being to really accurately every single batter, every single guy having his individual strike zone. We are almost there to where they now want to talk about a challenge system that we have in the minor leagues, but everybody's using ABS. We are not far from a strike is a strike, a ball is a ball. And it's amazing. Fans say yes. Players go, I don't know. I'm not sure about it. It's crazy.
You know, it's good that we can ask Fran about it.
Like,
He's dealing with it every.
wouldn't you want a strike to be a strike and a ball to be a ball? Black and white world, but not everybody wants that. Other guys would like to live in this world of, let's still just have umpires call it. I'll be pissed all the time, but I'm still more comfortable with that. Maybe we get 3 challenges a game, right? You'll see the pitchers challenge. It's like weird. It's like, wait a minute. If you have, because baseball's different. There's going to be a pitch. The game only works with the guy throwing a pitch. So every single pitch is going to get judged. Same thing happens in football. Every snap, there's going to be potential judgment, but there has to be a judgment call on every single pitch, right? It's going to either be strike, it's going to be ball, it's going to be fair, it's going to be foul, in play. There's going to be some type of that when the ball's in play, you're either going to be out or safe. Every single time the pitcher throws a ball, there's going to be some type of judgment. Fair to say?
Yes.
And a lot of them are umpires calling balls and strikes. And as we know, certain umpires, we now grade them. We put it on Twitter. Some guys are brutal. And they could be missing 30%, 20%. I mean, these calls matter because every single time it's a bad call against a pitcher or a hitter, you're affecting my stats, which affects my career, which affects how much money I make. I mean, there's a lot of things. Why wouldn't you want just simple question? Like fans, for the most part, Jason Stark, the Hall of Fame writer, put it out there on The Athletic, and basically all the comments were, no brainer. Why wouldn't you do it? If you now truly have the technology, which has just been discovered, like they've now got it to where we can actually give everybody their own strike zone. That's what we've been waiting for, right? Why wouldn't you want it? And players are like, I'm kind of afraid. I'm not sure. I'll dabble with the challenge system. But yet you're still going to have players night after night, dugouts bitching and complaining, hitters bitching, pitchers bitching. It's like, guys, we have a chance to get rid of that.
Ke'Bryan Hayes came out today and said he wanted it.
How about Ursig the other day was, visibly complaining in Texas, and then you go look at MLB.com and not one was a strike. Yeah. Can you imagine Ursig would have been like, wanted to challenge every pitch? Like, bro, they're not strikes. Martin Gallegos from MLB.com is with us here on A's Cast Live. Are you in Houston?
I'm not. I came back after this Texas series, so I'm off this series, but I was in Arlington for the last 3 days.
How are you?
I'm good. We're getting down to the final stretch here. Just a few weeks left. It's crazy. I mean, it feels like it has been a grind, but now that it's only 3 weeks left, it feels like it's all gone by pretty fast, but I'm good.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Like, this is a historically bad season, and we've seen a tremendous amount of bad baseball. But now since we're here and, like, all of a sudden, like, it's funny, I follow some of these Twitter accounts, Halloween's 50 days away, and you're like, wow, it doesn't seem like it was all that bad after all.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially recently, I mean, there was the beginning of the season was about as bad as it could get, right? But, I mean, especially here in the last month or so, I mean, we've been seeing some pretty good baseball. Even, the losses are still there, but they've been pretty competitive. So it's been fun just to kind of see kind of the new, we've talked about the youth movement for a couple of years now, how we wanted to see it, and we've kind of seen it now with all these young guys coming up. So that's been I think a positive of the season.
All right, 2-part question with this ABS calling balls and strikes. There's the media guy, and then there's you. I want you to, what you think the players' answers would be. All right, so number one, for you, would you like to see, if this is truly the technology really works, everybody has their own strike zones, strike's a strike, ball's a ball. Would you like to see that in our game?
I would, yeah, especially if the technology is, like, ready, yeah.
All right, part 2, you go into the clubhouse and ask the players, what answer do you think you get the majority of?
I think with this clubhouse, I think majority of them would like it because a lot of these guys have been down there in the minors, for a lot of this year. I was talking to Ryan Noda about it not too long ago when he was down there for his rehab stint. He said he loves it. He did say there was still a little bit of things to work out. They still kind of manipulated a little bit the batters to work their way on base, especially a guy like him with such a good eye. But I think it's getting close, and I think all those guys, since they've had a taste of it in the minor leagues, I think they're all used to it. And I think if MLB was to come and say, hey, we're going to implement this clubhouse specifically, I think would be all for it. I know around the league there's some more veteran type clubhouses that maybe might be opposed to it, but in Oakland, I think these guys are. I think most of them are all for it.
That's a great call. Now that I think about it, that's a really good call because what the future is these kids get technology, and all these guys that would not want it, well, they're going to be out of the game soon. So what you're seeing with the A's is the future of baseball, and the future of baseball has now seen it in the minor leagues. They're so used to technology now in college baseball and minor league baseball that this is like, yeah, let's do this. That's a good call. I didn't think about that. So it's almost like we're going to weed out all the, I mean, look at all the people who bitched and complained about the clock, and now it's not a problem, right? So we're going to weed all these people out, and this next generation is going to be like, bring it on, let's go, and it will not be a problem.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I got that sense from spring training, like a lot of these young guys, since they've been in the minors, they've kind of dealt with all this. There was a couple of veteran guys who were kind of worried about the pitch clock. I know Trevor May was a little, worried about that just because, he's been in the league for a long time, but even he's adjusted to it. And all these guys, like you said, it's not even an issue anymore with the pitch clock. So I think, all of it is just kind of, getting your feet wet with it. And eventually, you get used to it the more reps you get. So I think all these changes have been a positive so far. So, why not keep them coming?
I've been trying to come up with a comp for Zach Geloff, and I think I've come up with a pretty good one. I came up with Ryan Sandberg, Hall of Famer. Ryan Sandberg was 6'1". He was a bigger second baseman, sure-handed, won all those Gold Gloves. Early in his career, could really run. I mean, he had multiple 30 stolen base years. One year I looked at it, he stole 54. Obviously, he had power for days. He's one of the greatest power hitting second basemen of all time. Leadership ability. Like, there was a lot of great things about Ryan Sandberg. That's the comp I have, because it's like, well, who is Zach Geloff like? Because he's not your normal second baseman because of his size, but yet super athletic, can run, power to all fields. He's kind of got everything. He's got that it factor. Lawrence Butler told us he's got that it factor. What do you think about that comp? Hall of Famer Ryan Sandberg.
I'm sure he'd take that career in a heartbeat. I mean, that's one of the greatest players of all time right there. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it's definitely special. I mean, the fact that we're comparing him to these types of great players, I mean, just kind of speaks to what he's done. He just played his 50th major league game. And I mean, it's been just remarkable what he's been able to do on a daily basis. It's just the way he impacts the game in multiple ways. I think, defensively, we've kind of maybe overlooked how solid he's been over there. Him and Nick Allen have formed quite a nice little double play combo there. Yeah. And he has a lot of range. He's always going after balls. And you mentioned the leadership aspect as well. That's a big part here, with this young team. He's seems to have just emerged as a natural leader. And it's not like something that he went out and kind of, was forcing upon himself. Everyone kind of just, has gone to him, and all these young guys have kind of looked to him for guidance. And, I was here when Matt Chapman first came up, and, when we had the Chapman-Olsen era and Matt Chapman kind of provided a spark. I get kind of similar vibes in the way they kind of go about their business. They just are always working no matter what, pregame, postgame, they're always moving around doing something. They're never, in one spot for too long, just kind of lounging around. They're always, focused on the day and focused on getting better each day. And I think that's part of why we've seen him have so much success up here is he's always, constantly working, and he believes in himself, and just all the things you want in a young player. To be 23 years old and be this good. I mean, Kotze said it the other day, if he would have been up here from day one, he'd probably be, in serious, rookie of the year consideration right now.
Yeah, don't even get me started on that one. What we should have saw at the beginning of the year. Yeah. You got to get Jesus Aguilar signed and let him play. And speaking of that, I recently went off in a post-game show. It was the game that Ryan Noda was playing right field and Jonah Bride was playing first, and Geloff lets the ball drop, picks it up, goes to third. They're going to turn some type of maybe potential fancy double play, and Jonah Bride, not being a first baseman, is like, what's going on? And that I went off on that because later in the game there was a great double play between what we're looking at right now with Allen, Geloff, and Noda, and I'm like, that's why these three should play every game. If they're ready to go that day, they should play every single game. It reminds me, we used to put Matt Olson in right field in the minor leagues, with the dumbest things you've ever seen when he's a premier first baseman. I mean, let these kids play together. This is such a valuable time. What do you think about saying, you know what, any experiments, let's wait till spring. Let's see Allen, Geloff, Noda. I would like to see Jordan Diaz at third. I understand there's problems with playing time and stuff, but I would like to see consistency the rest of the way with these young players, because I don't know about you, Martine, but I've noticed we're turning a lot more double plays these days. There's a lot more continuity in the infield.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's definitely important, getting them in there consistently playing together. That's only going to help them, for the long term. And that, yeah, this, especially the series in Texas, they had a few double plays, and it looks so fluid, when whether it's hit to, Nick Allen and he starts a, 6-4-3, or Geloff starting a 4-6-3. They're really fluid. And it's come a long way from earlier in the season when we had, Tony Kemp at second and Ledimus Diaz at short. And, they were trying to, hadn't played with each other in those spots. And it just never really looked, fluid. But with these guys, they're so athletic and so quick. They get to so many balls that they're impacting the game on defense. And they're saving runs by doing that. All three of those guys, Allen, Noda, and Geloff, they're plus defenders, and they're showing off, some pretty good range, some pretty good instincts over there. And I think it's important to build that continuity here these final 3 weeks of the season. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't, be playing every day there at those spots.
It's going to be hard to sell you on Langalier's 204 average, so I'm not going to try and do that. But he does have 17 home runs. He's thrown the heck out of the baseball this year. It's been really tough with the 8 bazillion pitchers he's had to catch and learn and figure out. If he does get to this 20 home run mark, how will you look back at his season?
I think I'll look at it as definitely the second half as where he turned it around. Mainly this last month and a half or so, the power has shown up, and the way he's handled this pitching staff. I mean, every pitcher that we talk to has, really complimentary just about how he handles them and how he calls a game. Obviously, we all know about the arm that he has and the amount of runners that he's thrown out. And I think, it's hard because we had such high expectations coming in. Obviously, they traded away Sean Murphy, and that's a huge signal that this guy's ready to take over. But it is his first full year in the major leagues, and I think we have to kind of remember that and keep in mind that, as highly touted as he was, there still is kind of that learning process that he has to go through. We saw with Sean Murphy. His first couple years offensively weren't, too great. Obviously, this year in Atlanta, he went off and he seems to figure it out, and he was an all-star, obviously. But we saw a couple years where, flashes of power, kind of like we see with Langelier here, but maybe the overall consistency at the plate wasn't there. He was striking out a lot, and the batting average was pretty low, maybe not as low as 204, but it wasn't, it was in the low 200s for sure. And he seems to have figured it out this year. Murphy has. And I think with Langeliers, it's going to take some time, but he's got such a great, power in his bat and just overall hitting skills. The tools are there. Every time he hits a ball, especially, it seems like each home run that he's hit his last 7 or so have been just absolute bombs, like over 400 feet. So he's got a ton of power. And I think, consistency is something that comes with a little bit more reps. He's gone through his growing pains this year, but I think overall I'm going to look back at it as, the first half started out pretty rough, but he kept with it, and he's been durable, which is important as well for a catcher. And, now he's starting to kind of figure it out at the plate, it seems like. But yeah, definitely he prioritizes catching and defense and getting to know these pitchers. And the A's have had to use 22 different starting pitchers, and I think they've set a record for most pitchers. So he's had to go into those scouting reports with guys a lot kind of blind at times, because they're calling up guys who he's never worked with before, and he's got to kind of acclimate to them before worrying about maybe the hitting stuff.
All right. So speaking of pitching, I'm all about selling everything, right? And I want positivity in a year where you're looking at 44-99. I'm looking for all the positivity I can get. And Mason Miller is amazing. When he is out there, he is amazing. But the problem is people call up to the post-game show and they say, this guy, what he can be, and oh my God, this shows the future and everything. And I just go, he's got 62 and 2/3 professional innings. 62 and 2/3. I want to love him. I do. I want to put my arms around him. I want to love him. I want to think, you're going to build a staff around this guy. Help me out here. How do I get all in on Mason Miller? Because in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking this guy's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's natural to feel that way, and I think the A's sort of feel that way with the way they're going to use him this last month. They're not going to let him go probably past 50 pitches in any of his outings, and being really careful with his workload. And I mean, it's tough. When a guy's throwing 102, 101 consistently, you always worry about his arm, and obviously the UCL thing was a scare, and the fact that he was able to come back 4 months later is really. For me, it was shocking. I didn't think he was going to come. I don't think we were going to see him at all this year. After we heard it was a UCL, I thought for sure they were going to be really careful with him. But he wanted to come back. He was working hard to come back, and he got back. But yeah, I mean that concern's always going to be there, and you're always going to worry: is this the day where the arm kind of falls off and he has to have surgery or something? I wonder if long term if the injuries do prop up, which obviously we hope doesn't happen. But if he does get injured again, I wonder if they start to maybe consider. Can this guy be like a closer and just let him go one inning, or maybe 2-inning guy at times and just let him go all out where you can kind of control it a little bit more. But there is that concern with there. And until he kind of proves us wrong with that, or proves us wrong about that theory, it's always going to be in the back of our minds. But man, it's so fun to watch him every time he goes out there. I look forward to every time he pitches, because it's just something else. It's different. It's a different electricity with him out there.
Yeah, I mean, you want to think it's going to be here for a long time. You just don't know. One guy, though, who I do want to really celebrate, and it's just where we are in baseball, it's J.P. Sears. J.P. Sears is going to pitch a full season. He's going to give you 30 or more starts. Just talk about what that means for this staff.
Yeah, he had a goal in spring training. I remember going up to him, his on top of the list. First thing he said was, I want to make 30 starts. I want to be there every fifth day for this team. And he's been that one guy. They've had so many guys, injured and guys move to the bullpen and come back. But he's been that one constant. He got out to a really good start. Has hit a little bit of a wall recently more and has been a little up and down. But the important thing is he goes out there and he gives it his all every fifth day. And he finds a way to kind of grind through, 5 innings, even when he doesn't have his best stuff at times. And I think this is all, he's never pitched even close to this many innings in his career. So he's going to blow past that. All these guys are really, but especially Sears, because he's never been on this type of workload. But for a guy who started out in spring training, we didn't even know if he was going to make the rotation. There was a good chance he was going to start the year in the bullpen, but then they had those injuries to Rucinski and Blackburn, and he kind of earned his way onto the rotation. But he was a guy, even with the Yankees, who was kind of a hybrid guy who would pitch relief some. But this year, I mean, he's gone out there and proven that he's a major league starter. Whether it's a back end of the rotation or whatever, he's a guy who you can count on every fifth day. Who's going to go out there and give you a decent chance to stay in the game and maybe win it. But the stuff isn't flashy, but he gets the home run has been an issue for him this year. But overall, he goes out there and he battles. And that's something that I think Mark Kotze always preaches, going out there and being competitive with whatever you have on a given night.
Mark Kotze, this has been a rough 2 years. And I know he signed up for it, but I know it hasn't been easy for him. We get a chance to talk to him every single week. One of the interviews I did, I said, everybody's always asking you about everybody else. I want to ask you about you. How are you doing? And he kind of sat back and was like, it's interesting you asked me that. Because we don't ask him about him very often. We're always, what about this player? What about this? How do you think he's holding up? Because Mark Kotze's not doing this because he needs the money.
Yeah. I mean, it's been rough. I mean, we've seen the results, and it's tough for him because, he has to, deal with this kind of nonstop. The players can go home and kind of, go to sleep and not think about things for the next day, but he has to, stay up all night, kind of second guessing himself at times of, did he make this right move? Wins are already limited as it is. So when they have a chance to win, and if he feels like he didn't make the right move in a given situation or didn't play the right guy at the right time, he kind of blames that on him and kind of has to take the fall for that. So it's been rough for him, but he's done a great job in terms of just keeping these guys motivated and going every day. I know they're major leaguers and, they should show up every day motivated, but I mean, that's easier said than done when you go through 200 lost seasons like they're, on the verge of. And he's not once have I seen this team, show up and kind of be lackadaisical. They show up ready to work every day, regardless of what the record has been. They're coming in there and feeling like they have a chance to win that day. And I think it kind of speaks volumes. Every guy in that clubhouse you talk about loves Kotsay, and they think he's done a great job with them. And it's been, he was dealt the hand that he was dealt. It was difficult, first day on the job. Basically, they traded away all the guys from the last run, and he's kind of had to piece together, these teams over the past couple of years. But he does a good job with this young team. I think he's been a great resource for them as well, being, kind of an influence on the younger outfielders like Lawrence Butler and Asterio Ruiz, especially helping them out in center field. And the one thing I noticed is he really gets along with all these, and he makes it a point to go to all these guys, whether it's, the Latin guys, the young guys, the older guys on the team. He kind of builds a rapport with all of them. And I see him pregame just going around the field with his, fungo bat and just talking to everybody. And he does a good job of staying in communication with everyone and just making sure that everyone knows what their duty is on a given day. So done a remarkable job with what he was given for sure.
All right, we're going to end on this, and I'm going to ask you throughout the offseason, because we'll talk to you during the offseason. We'll see you at the winter meetings. But as of right now, what's the one thing? Is that us or you? All right. What is the one thing you're most excited about with this franchise going into the offseason?
Well, we start with Zach Geloff, obviously what he's done this year, but really just kind of the core of young guys that are getting their feet wet here, whether it's, Geloff, Butler, Soderstrom, obviously Mason Miller. These guys are getting valuable experience, especially in this stretch right here that they're playing the Rangers and the Astros, and they got the Mariners coming up against playoff contending teams. They're excited. These guys are excited when they go into, like when they went to Seattle, not too long ago, and it was a playoff-like atmosphere. The stands were full. They loved being in that atmosphere. And Lawrence Butler talked about how just fun it was, and that was his favorite series as a big leaguer so far. It was like 40,000 people every night. He obviously hit that bomb that one day. I think it was the last game of the series, and he kind of soaked it all in, and all these guys have been soaking it all in. So they're getting this valuable experience. Then going into next year, I mean, there's even more guys who are knocking on the door. A guy like Darryl Hernandez at AAA, Joey Estes. These guys are close as well. Denzel Clark. We're kind of seeing these guys who have been talked about the past couple of spring trainings as, these guys are going to be the future. Just wait until they come up. We're seeing them come up and they're, having some success. Soderstrom's been struggling a little bit, but he did hit a homer the other day in Texas, and he kind of has had, to work on, his confidence level, obviously dealing with struggles really as a hitter for the first time in his whole baseball career, really. But all these guys are getting their feet wet. And I think that gives me, if I'm an A's fan, I'm excited for next year because these guys are kind of getting that experience, and maybe they can hit the ground running next year with maybe even more young guys on the way if they can play their way onto this team out of spring training.
All right, buddy. Be well. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, Tony. Sounds good. See you.
Martin Gallegos, MLB.com, does a great job covering the Oakland Athletics. And I think, no question, it would be fair of you to say, how could you even ask about whether you could be excited about going into the offseason when you are 44 and 99? Can you turn me up? You know what? I think I figured it out, Cody. See right there? Yeah, I'm good. But when we have the guest, he's super loud. They're super loud in my ears. And my ears are starting to get sensitive as I get older.
That makes sense.
Years of wearing headphones, I think, is not wearing well on my ears.
Well,
see, right now we sound normal. The guests sound like they're blaring to me.
He was a little hot, so I turned him down a little bit, and he kind of leveled out a little bit. That was something.
But it happens to me, though. It's me. I think it's fair. I think you could say as an A's fan, what the hell are you talking about? Let me explain myself. Can I explain myself to not look like a total homer, which I'm not trying to be? I'm trying to be consistent because I said this a while ago. I had criticism of the franchise for signing a bunch of blah veteran guys, falling back on their old. See, they used to be able to do it $90 million. Now they didn't have $90 million. And I've kind of explained, if you followed A's baseball over the years, how they would do things, right? It was a ton of movement. Guys in and out and in and out, and little money being exchanged here and there, and minor league free agents. And this guy had to be called up by this point, or he'd be a free agent. So let's now call up Brandon Moss before he loses. Constantly, here's a Kia Kaihue. It was just constantly moving pieces and trades. And not a whole lot of, look at our great draft picks, right? The A's weren't built on that. We were built on movement and deals and, oh, my God, Scott Kazmir and, diamonds in the rough and getting other people's teams. Because the one thing the A's were good at, we're looking at other people's players and finding other people's players and bringing them in. So you can do that when you're using around 90 to 100 million. There can be movement and money's exchanged, and sometimes you're paying a little bit or sometimes they're paying you a little bit. But all of a sudden, when that's cut off and now you got to rely on what you got in the minor league system, boy, you get exposed fast. All right, where's all the draft picks? Where's all these guys you've been training? Where's your minor leagues? And why do you have to go out and sign Jace Peterson? Why do you got to get Aledmus Diaz and Jesus Aguilar and Drew Rucinski and these guys? But I think now past that, what excites me going into next year, and I said this, if you let the young guys play, at some point they will get better and you'll win more games. Stop with the hodgepodge garbage. Let the young guys develop and play together. They're going to get their butts kicked. That's fine. It's human nature to fail before you succeed. Some of us see any failure, you want to shut people down because you're afraid of failure. Not me. JP Sears is struggling. Shut him out in August. Would that have been a good move now?
No, but Martin said he was hitting a wall. That's what I saw. He was hitting a wall.
So what? Hit a wall. It's professional sports. Do you still show up to work when you hit a wall?
Yeah.
No, we don't shut you down. Oh, Cody's not feeling good. You can take the next 2 months off. No, you got to go to work. You got to learn to be able to play when you don't feel 100%. You got to learn how to still be a husband, a wife, a father, a mother. You still got to live life when you're not 100%. And for some reason, you guys don't believe in that. It's like, what? Are you telling me come week 3 in the NFL, everybody's feeling skipping into work every day? This is great. The whole team would be out on Sundays. What sport would you want to watch on Sunday if guys didn't hit walls in the NFL? Who would play?
Fair point.
That's not true. I mean, you're beat up after training camp. We would have no teams. I mean, Steph Curry couldn't even play a season if that was the case. So it's great. Look, I mean, JP Sears is going to grow as a person, as an athlete. The accomplishment of 30 starts, it's going to be great for him. So stop shutting everybody down. Stop worrying about, oh, my God, he's failing. Tyler Soderstrom's failing for the first time in his life. Oh, my God. What do we do? What do we do? Shut him down. Send him down. No.
I thought
let him compete.
He should have stayed up here the whole time.
Grow up. Compete. Learn. And if you can't, then you'll be gone. I mean, that's just how it works. You got to learn to adapt and get better. And that's all of life. That's all of life. We've all struggled. It's okay to struggle. And that's why I want to be consistent and say, let these young guys play together because they'll start playing better together and they'll start winning. And we have seen that. Defense looks better. Some of these guys are blossoming offensively. Noda's still sporting over an 800 OPS. Geloff is a monster. Let Law play. He's not in the lineup today. Like, what? What are we doing? Because I got to see Brent Rooker strike out more. Brent Rooker since May
1st.
Or is it 2nd? Did we have a game on May 1st or was that a day off?
Let me double check. We looked at this.
Since the start of May, Brent Rooker has struck out like 130-something times. It's crazy. Is Tony Kemp in the lineup today hitting 214?
No. It's a lefty on the mound.
I mean, seriously, I don't care who's on the mound. Let the young guys play. I mean, Kevin Smith, we haven't seen enough to know what Kevin Smith is.
Since May 2nd, Brent Rooker has struck out 134 times in 340 at-bats.
What's the average?
218.
218 and 137 strikeouts. Let the young guys play. Let them figure it out. It's a dilemma, but I mean, is our organization getting better with Aledmus Diaz in left field?
I'm going to lean towards no.
No, I mean everybody knows that. And batting third. Let the young
ready lefty.
But that's what gives me excitement about next year is that I'm hoping this stuff's gone, and now we just go, hey, if you're going to spend some money, go spend it on pitching. You need arms.
Yeah.
Go get arms. Flood all your money into arms. Get me guys that can give me some innings and some starts and some guys that can pitch in the bullpen and get outs. Let all these young guys play. Hernandez, I don't know. Is he a shortstop? Is he third base? I don't know. Let's see what he's got. Brett Harris, he's that good. Let's see what he's got. Jordan Diaz, you better figure it out. People are coming. Law, you're playing every day in the outfield. Ruiz got to play. He's got a skill set that's incredible. You've got to coach him. You've got to make him better. Ruiz, by the way, this is going to be part of my brought to you by Cal State Hayward.
Stat of the day.
Cal State East Bay. I'm about to say Cal State Hayward. When I played them, they were Hayward. Cal State East Bay, stat of the day. Ruiz has stolen 4 of his 5 career. Ruiz has stolen a base in 4 of his 5 career games against Houston. 5 total, 0 caught stealing. That's pretty good.
He's if you do the math, he's at 58 on the year, steals. He is on pace for 66, which would tie him with Kenny Lofton for the American League rookie record, which he set in 1992 for the then Cleveland Indians. So SC needs to play more and he tried to steal base. SC got thrown out. He doesn't get thrown out that much.
It was close,
but I mean, it was a nice throw by Jonah Heim, but he's really close. That's another milestone, another great thing you could see for a young player on the A's team. We've seen what Gelof's done in August, and he's still hitting even better in September. So keep letting these guys play.
Remember when Gelof was 2 for 20? Oh, and people are like, well, now he's starting to hit it. People already were worried when Gelof was 2 for 20. This is a game of failure. You have to understand you're going to fail. People were starting to panic when Gelof was 2 for 20. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Now they figured him out.
I think he's hitting 3.
He's hitting 273 right now.
I think he's hitting 316 in September, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll tell you right now what he's hitting. I was looking at some of these last
5
night.
extra base hits.
I'm having a hard time stomaching playing players who have negative WARs. I mean, that's kind of something we can all agree upon, right? Negative WARs, not good. He's hitting 316 in September.
5 extra base hits.
Hit 286 in August. In July, he hit 218. Okay, he struggled, but you know what? So what? Let him struggle. God, this whole thing that we can't allow anyone to struggle is ridiculous.
It's in the notes, too, but it's pretty crazy. He has the 3rd highest WAR already on the team.
Well, we're playing guys who have a negative WAR.
Correct.
We're giving guys lots. I said this yesterday in the post-game show. I'll stand by it. There are decisions that get made with every team down the stretch, bad teams, that are just like, what are you doing? And then everybody gets the pass in the offseason because we move forward. You know, as I always say, your windshield is bigger than your rearview mirror. Why?
Because you're always looking ahead.
Your future's more important than your past. Got that from the great Dick Callahan. Where's my Dick Callahan mug?
It's over here.
Get DC up here.
He hosts Nolan Ryan.
Oh, that's why we took it down with the rain. Dick Callahan, one of the greatest human beings of all time. Dick Callahan said to me, Townie, there's a reason why your windshield is bigger than your rearview mirror, because your future is more important than your past. So we'll forget about this. We'll forget about next year. We'll get to spring training, everything. But a question should be next year, hey, remember last year you're giving substantial at-bats to guys with negative WARs.
I did the numbers. There's only one guy that's more bats than some of the guys with the lower WARs on our team. One guy.
Name him.
Tim Anderson.
Ooh.
And they're paying him a lot of money. That's not a lot. It's like $15 million.
Well, there was a guy, but I had to tell you he's not apples to apples, because one guy who's gotten a lot of at-bats and was terrible, but he got kicked to the curb. His name's Jerkson Profar. Even the Rockies went, enough. Padres have picked him up. By the way, remind me to get to the notes, Dodgers Padres.
We haven't even got to some of the best stuff. We haven't got to George Kirby yet or the Mike Trout rumors. I've heard you be all over the George Kirby thing. We saw that on Friday.
Well, because you're just going to call me Old Man River, and this is not – people don't –
No, there's a lot of people that didn't like what he said. Apparently.
So let me just finish with this. I like the idea. I think for me, what I'm excited about going into the offseason is we now kind of trust our young players are going to be able to play. They're going to be able to play and compete. They're just going to get better. Young players, if they're legit, the more they play, the more they start to figure it out. They will be able to compete, and we won't see this. You'll see a more competitive team, a more compelling team, and all of a sudden you're going to be like, damn, they can win some games. That's, to me, what's exciting. And you're going to have just a boatload of arms heading into the offseason. You're going to acquire more. You got to go get more, but you're going to have a ton of guys who can compete, and hopefully those guys will be able to figure out and get some outs, because that's still the dilemma. Yeah, the whole Kirby thing. Yeah, a lot of people have been following baseball. The fact that he had 90 pitches, goes into the 7th, gives it up, and then after the game.
I have the audio if you want me to play it.
Go ahead.
Here's George Kirby after his start on Friday.
I didn't execute. He had a good pitch. I wish I wasn't out there for the 7th, to be honest. So I was at 90 pitches, and I didn't think I needed to go anymore, but it is what it is. So,
is that a conversation in the dugout, or is it?
It'll be a conversation soon. Yeah.
Mariners pitcher All-Star pitcher George Kirby.
That'll be a stain for a while.
He did come out and apologize the next day.
Doesn't matter.
He got ripped by a lot of people.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's shame on him. First of all, that's not something you should say to the media. And he's not a rookie. I know we don't train these guys to talk to the media, but he should have never said that. That is something that if you felt I'm gassed, I shouldn't have pitched anymore, that's something that should be handled inside amongst the family. It should be handled with the pitching coach, should be handled with the manager. But it made you look gutless. And unfortunately, it's where our sport is. Our sport is gutless. We're training gutless people to be professional baseball players. Or we're training guys who probably weren't gutless into being gutless. And it's sad. 90 pitches? You realize, for all of us high school baseball players and all of us pitchers, we always pitch the entire game the day you pitched because you just dominated and no one ever came in relief. 90 pitches is not a lot. 90 pitches is not a lot. These guys in college, if you're the Friday, Saturday guy, for sure, you pitch more. 90 pitches is not a lot of work.
Hell, the kid from Stanford that just got drafted, Quinn Matthews, threw 156 pitches in a complete game.
That's bad though. You're going to an extreme. We're talking 90 pitches. You haven't even hit 100 yet, and you're asking out. You're tap out. You're talking tap out. We're training guys, and just for entertainment purposes, the more we hear this, the more we hear J.P. Sears should be shut down because he looks like he's hit the wall. Kirby doesn't want to go out to the 7th. We need you to pitch, get some outs. I'm 90. I'm out. Tap out. This is really bad. Is this good for the sport? I mean, where is this good for the sport to where we're looking at Mason Miller? We're gonna he's gonna pitch like 40 pitches because we don't know how to keep him healthy. like, we have no proof that him only throwing 40 is going to keep him healthy. There's no scientific proof or number of pitches, whether he throws 1 or 101, which is going to keep him healthy. We do know this: if he doesn't pitch at all, he won't get hurt.
True. Yes.
I'm not a doctor, and I can figure that one out. So where are, like, what are we doing? We're training guys to not have volume. We're training guys to be in the world where everything is just trying to strike everybody out for a short period of time, and then we bring in everybody else. But now we've realized that's failing us because we go back to the 4,374 outs you got to get in a season. We don't have enough guys. We burn out our bullpens. We don't have enough pitchers. We got problems. And it's not entertaining. Star players are the guys that sell tickets. Star players get ratings. Star players make you interested. Not random-ass bullpen guy. Here's the manager coming to the bullpen again for the 4th, 5th time in the game. We are losing this aspect of the guy that has the ball as a star. We're losing that. And when you're telling the world, I don't think I should have got in September when these games, you're battling. It's not like he's on the Royals or the A's or the Tigers. No offense to those franchises, including ours, but it's not like you're a guy pitching for nothing. Every game you got matters. Every single game, the Mariners are in a dogfight. They have just lost ground. They're 2.5 back of the Astros in the West. Remember, they were just in first place. And you get to the wild card, they're barely hanging on by a half game over Texas. Couple more losses and Seattle's out of the postseason, and you're complaining about pitching 90 pitches. Guys have to learn how to compete when you don't have your best. You don't, hey, I may not have my best fastball. Well, go get people out. You still got to get people out. You still got to play. And it's really, we're training people to be gutless. We're training them to only pitch and to only be able to go when you feel 100% and you can strike everybody out. Who was a kid that got? It was a kid that just pitched funky. He's one of their top prospects for the Tigers. Just pitched. Was it last night or the night before? He wasn't blowing Ched, but his ball was going all over the place. But that's a guy I want. That's what, I mean, the guy that the Dodgers got going. Dodgers are debuting a kid tonight, Gavin Stone.
Yeah.
He's their fifth best prospect. Gavin Stone, guess what? He only throws mid-90s with slider change, and his change is his best pitch. Like, not everybody has to be 102 and ready to blow their UCL out to be somebody who can be competitive. And that's, I mean, this is Houston Street, our own Houston Street, went down his street pretty hard.
Wasn't just him. Clemens. There's a lot of guys.
Those are the older guys. Houston Street, it was interesting. Do you have the Houston Street one? That was really telling because obviously Clemens comes from an era where you were looking to complete games. But Houston Street was like, this is a stain on you for your career. And I know Ryan Divish, our guy who covers, is he the Seattle Times?
Yeah.
He covers the Mariners. We love him. Does a great job covering him, and he's funny as hell. And he was sticking up for him. And I get it. People are going to say, really good kid, sticking up for him. But it's a stain. It's a stain on our game. It's like, once again, why is football continuing to be king? Why?
It's entertaining.
It's gladiators. Gladiators. We're not teaching gladiators. And our man pitching ninja is a part of the problem. Pitching ninja's up there. This is the crazy. It's 102. Da, 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 da. If the pitching ninja was highlighting, hey, this is a guy that didn't break 95 and threw 7 innings and only gave up 2 runs and kept his team in the game. But we don't highlight that guy anymore. We just want to highlight certain pitches of guys throwing super hard and looking at the data of how the pitch goes versus, can this guy help me win games every 5 days? Hell, we don't even want to talk every 5 days. We're talking every 6 days. San Francisco Giants are about to go through a season with 2 starters.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? Read Houston Street.
I'll read Jared Weaver's after, too. Jared Weaver went in. He's not an old school guy either. But here's what Houston Street tweeted. Dear George, this was the moment every GM decided you're not worth the risk because you aren't willing to risk yourself for your team. When you look back on your career and wonder why it was at best above average. Don't try and figure it out because you have no clue what it takes. Sincerely, the big leagues. What I'd say to you if I was your coach or teammate.
One part of that I don't disagree. One part I put that back up. One part I drastically disagree with Houston Street. You want to know what it is? Take a guess. What you just read there, what would I totally disagree with?
He has no clue what it takes.
First line. This is the moment every GM decided you're not worth the risk. No, GMs, Houston, created this. They created this. David Force said on this show, basically called me a dinosaur. What did he say? Get over it? About innings?
Yeah.
They've created this. This is their model. If they wanted pitchers to go deep in games, they would train the pitchers to do that. We were just at San Jose Giants Stockton Ports. Our Stockton Port guy, I was willing to call him up, by the way. I was scouting.
Cousins with
you were drinking beer.
Cousins
I was
with Cookie
scouting.
Carrasco, too.
Huh?
His cousin's Carlos Carrasco. So
what was the kid's name again?
Last name, his last name is Carrasco, though. I forget his first name.
Through what, 6 innings?
Yeah.
I was ready to call him up. 92, 93, a little bit wild, few too many sliders in the dirt. But I was like, hey, this kid's got stamina. We could use him right now.
We're in the Cal League in low A, guys don't go past like 3 innings normally.
What happened with the San Jose Giant pitcher?
He was gone.
I couldn't believe it. 3 innings, gone. Gone. Where'd he go? Gone. So GMs, they've caused this. It's almost like we need a reset of these front offices. It's like we need a reset. Like they've gone down this path that they can't get out of.
Well, this is according to Bob Nightingale in his piece. I think it was from today or yesterday. But he says in there, baseball executives and scouts also privately revealed their disgust towards George Kirby.
How? All their pitchers do the same.
The only thing I can think of is like a guy like, well, I can't even say Brian Cashman. That guy's been there forever because Cashman, his guys, they're a big analytics organization.
And they're about to hit the reset button themselves.
Here's what Jared Weaver said. This is why I'll never do any kind of coaching in the big leagues, to be honest. I shouldn't have been out there. I threw 90 pitches. What the expletive. Embarrassing. Truly embarrassing.
Okay. The only way we can look at this, because baseball people will defend this. Like the trolls on Twitter will defend this, right? Because literally the fantasy day, I think the analytics crowd is also the fantasy crowd, and you don't care about wins. You really don't care about wins. You care about strikeouts are great fantasy points. That's why there is the belief that all you care about, the more you strike out, the better pitcher you are. You want strikeouts. Eno Saris came clean. I'm like, you'd rather have a guy who strikes out more guys, that K versus walk percentage, than a guy that has a better ERA? Yep. Because that's the predictor, right? It's a predictor, because anybody in the true numbers world, you think the expected stats matter because you think it's a predictor. If I strike out a lot of guys, I'm going to be a better pitcher. And you're like, well, wait a minute. This other guy in like real life has a better ERA.
Like Justin Steele.
It's like Spencer Strider is like the god now, but yet guys have like a way better ERA, which means they give up less runs. So aren't you a better pitcher if you give up less runs? The answer was no. Strider strikes out a lot of guys. Therefore, he is a better pitcher because long-term that will be better. In theory, expected record, expected batting average. That's why people bring that up. It's garbage. You are what your record says you are. Or we can go to the Padres Can I get the Padres expected?
Yeah, hold on.
Running out of time here. The Padres expected record.
Hold on, let me pull it up.
For you analytics people. What is the Padres? I mean, look at the run differential. Their expected record is?
The San Diego Padres right now are currently 67-77. But if you look at their run differential plus 61, their expected win-loss is 78-66. They would be number 2 in the division. Actually, hold on. They'd be number 2 in Division 3 in baseball. with that record.
Only in our sport. Oh, we're the only. You wonder why football and basketball have passed us by? Because this is what we're selling.
Well, here's a good one. Marlins are 74-69, but their expected win-loss because of run differentials 67-76. So they're way better than they should be.
What would happen if a quarterback took himself out because he's like, you know what, I enough throws, I'm tired. What would happen?
I don't think that probably has never happened, I would assume.
I'm out. I'm tired of getting hit.
Mac Jones was about 54 times to the Patriots yesterday.
I'm tired of getting hit. My arm's a little sore. It's week 1. I got a little, I'm out. What would happen?
Well,
baseball people, like literally Mariner people, are defending this. Like they are defending it. What would happen in the NFL if a quarterback went, I'm tired. Like it sucks to get hit. I played quarterback. Not in the NFL. It sucks getting hit all game. Like at what point, I'm done. I'm done getting hit. These guys, the Cowboys, are beating the crap out of me. I am done. My shoulder still hurts a little bit from training camp. My left shoulder now hurts. I got bruised rib. Guy hit me. I sprained my ankle. Fourth quarter, I'm out of here. I don't want to do this anymore. What would they say? And that is a violent game where people really, really get hurt.
It would lead every talk show in the morning that people don't watch on television.
I mean, it's insane. Sure. What if coming down the stretch, Warriors are battling and Steph's just like, I was playing golf. My back kind of hurts. I really can't go. And my ankle hurts again.
They're going to say he can't play because he took too many shots. I'm done.
Yeah. I've been shooting a lot this game. It's fourth quarter. Can I come out? I mean, people are there are some people defending this. I didn't want to go into it because I don't want to get into the old man River thing. 90 pitches is nothing. It's nothing. They're high-stress pitches. Shut up. Come on. Do you want to play or not? Do you want to be great or not? Do you want the challenge or not?
Prior to that start, too, he only had 3 innings pitched since like August 23rd. It's not like he was throwing.
Are you hurt? No. Then why? Then go out and compete. It's like when all these people want Shohei Ohtani to shut it down. He should just shut it down. What does he have left to prove? Well, you just want him to show up and eat sunflower seeds and watch the rest of the season? He can still hit. Why wouldn't he want to play? He's having a great year offensively. Why wouldn't we are the only sport that wants to figure out how to not play people. The NBA has had this problem too with the with sitting people. Oh, we got to rest.
Nope, that's changing. They're actually voting on it where you can have two guys can't sit out on nationally televised.
Like the NBA's trying to figure out, wait, we can't do this, guys.
They're going to fix
the sport.
I meant to send you this morning. It was Woj and Shams. They had it today that they're going to work on the load management. Finally, after all these, Greg Popovich started. It was actually kind of smart with Duncan and all those guys, but then it just took over the sport.
Let's find out a way to not have players play. Then when are they going to play? Well, we're saving them. Saving them for what? The way you saved DeGrom and Scherzer and Chris Bassett for the playoffs last year? How'd that work out? You had all three healthy. How'd it work out?
You lost.
You lost. So you saved them and lost. So it's just like, it's.
Well, you know the Angels are doing this already. They're saving Anthony Rendon.
No. That's one of the reasons why I used to not be. I was anti Shohei Ohtani. Not because I'm against him, the person. I was against this. He's going to pitch, but he doesn't pitch every 5 days, and then he can't hit the day before. He can't hit the day after. It's like, what are you doing? How much volume going to get out of this guy? And I got criticized for that, but I was like, I don't see it. Like, you can unicorn me all you want, but if I don't get that much production out of the guy, what use is he? You are not a useful player if you don't play. I'm not, this is not rocket science here. You don't play, you don't put up numbers. But Ohtani finally said to them, stop. I want to play. I want to play every day, and I want to play when I hit, and I want to play. And even now with a bum elbow, he wants to play. He wanted to play in the WBC. He wants the challenge. That's what greatness is. I want it. Unfortunately, his elbow can't. But you know what? He said, fine, I'm still going to hit because he's a gamer. This kind of stuff gets him to the Baseball Hall of Fame. I don't know what kind of numbers he's going to put up long term. He will be in the Baseball Hall of Fame because people like me are going to sit here and say, you know what? That guy's badass. He's here for the fight. Whether his arm was hurt or not, because what we're going to end up saying is, hey, when he was healthy, he was a hell of a pitcher. But now he's got 400 home runs. He's got all these RBIs. Put him into the Hall of Fame because that guy was gamer. That's what I think of Shohei Ohtani. I don't think soft. You think? I mean, could you ever in any world say Shohei Ohtani soft?
No.
When he first came to the league, yes. And it wasn't his fault. We didn't realize it wasn't his fault. That was the Angels' fault. He's always been game on. They tried to figure out, it was a waste. It was like, hardly going to start him, hardly going to hit him. You got this great talent, but you don't want to start him all the time. You don't want to have him hit all the time. Like, what are you doing?
And how many winning seasons have they had with the strategy? Exactly.
But that's what I love about Ohtani now is Ohtani, he wants to play. He's showing you right now. He could shut her down, even though he missed, the last 7 games with the oblique. But
supposed to maybe come back today. We have to get into it after Matt Kawahara. There's more Angels news with Trouty.
There's Trout news? What?
What?
He's going to the Royals.
What's being reported?
He's going to the Marlins.
Yeah, well, he may want out.
Is he going to be in the lineup with Josh Donaldson and the Brewers? Donaldson just got called up. Did you see that?
I did not. That's smart. They're playing the Yankees soon.
JD's back.
They just played the Yankees this weekend.
All right, coming up next, we head to Houston. Our old buddy, Matt Kawahara. I want to hear about the Houston Trolls. And when the A's guy gets the Houston beat, what was it like? You'll find out next right here on A's Cast Live. This is Chris Townsend and Commander Cody for Link Soul. You need to redo your wardrobe, especially for summer. They got new colors, new styles. Summer is here. The polos, unbelievable. The shorts, you name it, we got our new order.
My wife is the happiest one out of all of us because I look better, thanks to Link Soul.
And they've got unbelievable deals right now for the summer. So what are you waiting for? Shirts, polos, shorts, you name it. You go to linksoul.com. That's linksoul.com.
Innovation is at the core of Cal State East Bay, like at our Green Biome Institute, where faculty and students preserve genetic information from California's endangered plants, or how we open doors for local entrepreneurs at our Small Business Development Center. From educators to nurses to STEM professionals, Cal State East Bay has real impact throughout the region's neighborhoods, boardrooms, and the entire economy. Be part of the innovation. Connect with Cal State East Bay at csueastbay.edu/impact.
Hey, it's Eno Saris, your friendly neighborhood baseball scribe. There are 2 things I love, baseball and beer. When I'm not busy around the ballpark, you'll likely catch me back with a cold one at any of Fieldwork Brewing's 8 locations sprinkled across the Bay Area. Fieldwork's got a rotating lineup of over 20 beers on tap that's as diverse as any 26-man roster. They got everything from super juicy hazy IPAs to crisp pilsners and tropical sours that make your taste buds do the wave. Whether you're all about that draft life or prefer to grab some cans to go, Fieldwork's got your bases covered. Check them out at fieldworkbrewing.com to learn more. That's fieldworkbrewing.com.
Watch parties aren't what they used to be ever since we got Xfinity. Now that kids can easily stream all their favorite stuff, they just have to worry about what's on the charcuterie board.
Are these just cut up hot dogs and spray cheese?
The best way to stream your favorites is on the Xfinity 10G network. Now through September 21st, get Xfinity Gig Internet on the network made for streaming for $25 a month for 2 years when you add Xfinity Mobile. Switch today. Requires pre-postable and auto-pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary.
Celebrate Latin and Hispanic Heritage Weekend, A's style. Kick off the weekend watching the best fireworks in the Bay Area down on the field after your A's host the San Diego Padres on Friday, September 15th.
Now to Jordan Diaz, a high fly ball to left. Melendez is back. He's at the track, right to the wall, and he will watch it fly.
From Bad Bunny to Shakira, there's hits for everyone as you watch our one-of-a-kind Latin music fireworks show presented by Corona. Grab your seats today at athletics.com/fireworks.
Unbeatable mileage from Chevron with Techron unlocks all kinds of unbeatable trips, like to family dinner the next town over, or to a family wedding the next town over, or even to a family reunion over the river and through the woods at Grandma's house. Any drive is worth it to see Grandma, especially when you can stop along the way for unbeatable cleaning power from Chevron with Techron. Your engine will be thanking you for making the trip. Download the Chevron app now and find unbeatable mileage near you.
This is Chris Townsend, and if you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see my friends at the Chicken Pie Shop at Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Hey, Billy, this deck is great for getting everyone together.
Thanks. We're really enjoying the outdoor space, especially on a day like today.
What's the material?
Humboldt Redwood from Ashby Lumber. They gave us a great deal, provided us with a quick quote, and we couldn't be happier. We even found a great contractor through their online contractor directory.
Don't miss a day outdoors. Visit Ashby Lumber in Berkeley or Concord to see our stock of naturally strong, naturally beautiful Humboldt Redwood. Find out more at ashbylumber.com for all your building needs. Ashby Lumber.
Summertime is golf time in the Bay Area, and that means it's time to enjoy the beautiful vistas, 27 holes of championship golf, and all the amenities that Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Cinnabar Hills gives you a variety on the course and in their amazing grill. They're ready to give you an incredible experience for any family, business, or social gathering. Nestled in the quiet hills of San Jose, summertime fun awaits you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club. Learn more at cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and Gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
Calling all kids. It's Kids Cheer Free all summer long. Bring your kids ages 14 and under to the ballpark on Sunday home games for free. After cheering on your green and gold, race around the bases with Stomper on the same field that your favorite A's players do. Get your tickets now at athletics.com/kidsfree. That's athletics.com/kidsfree.
Streaming from the A's Road studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
You know, whenever I am in the press box and I'm coming down to get the game notes and I look and I see that empty chair and Matt's not there anymore, it's just sad. It's like I always said hello, how's everything going, and now I walk and it's like emptiness. We miss you, Matt. How are you?
Yeah, I miss you guys too. Good. No, doing good. Trying to get to know a new team, but it's good to see you and to catch up with a couple of the guys actually out here today pregame. It's nice to see everybody.
I want to know what the Astros fans' reaction was when the A's beat writer now becomes an Astros beat writer. What was the fans' reaction?
I don't know if it was too much of a reaction. I think people welcome sort of the coverage. I don't know. I feel like it's more the paper that matters, the outlet. So I'm sure they're glad to have the continuity there. But the guy who was here before and covered them for the Houston Chronicle did a really good job. It's now with the Athletic chair in the room, obviously still covering the beat. So it's been just kind of trying to get to know a new organization, new team, new players. But yeah, it's been an interesting change for sure.
Well, the Houston Chronicle has been one of the top papers in the country for a long time, and Evan Drelich was with the Chronicle when they first started all these investigations about the Houston Astros. So you cover the A's, essentially covering the Astros too, from a standpoint as a visiting team going in there. What is it like? What are your thoughts, opinions that are different about the Astros now that you covered them versus when you were covering the A's and you just travel there as a visiting beat writer?
Yeah, I think you just get to know sort of the people better. Sometimes you'll go over to the opposite side and check in on the visiting team a little bit, but now you're around them every day. You kind of get to see how they go about their business, get a little bit of a better feel for who they are as people. So that's a different view than you normally get when you're just, just ducking in for a series or so. I think you just kind of get to see consistently how this team has just been really good for the last few years. When you watch sort of the lineup that they run out every day, the rotation that they've run out, obviously they've had some injuries throughout the course of the season where, you know, they were without guys in their rotation that they were going to count on, but they were able to plug a couple of guys in. They kind of managed to get through that first half without having Altuve in the lineup for a lot of it. And they were missing Yordan Alvarez for about 40 games with the oblique injury, but they were able to get through that. And they've had a couple of younger players sort of step into and become more almost every day, not necessarily every day, but just they've been able to produce for them at a pretty high level, which is why they are where they are. I mean, they were chasing the Rangers for all summer, and now here they are kind of making a late push. And I don't know, I think they have the sense in their clubhouse around the team is just that this is kind of their time to make their move. And obviously they've been here before, and this is the time where they're going to sort of make that push. And as long as they get into the tournament at the end, I think they like where they're at.
So at the end of the broadcast yesterday, obviously I'm getting ready for today's game, and Astros just pumped the Padres yesterday, and I'm like, 82-62. Wow, 20 games over 500. And it seemed like it came out of nowhere, and they now lead the West. I mean, we're talking about a team that's been to a franchise. They've been to the ALCS 6 straight years. During that time, 4 World Series appearances and 2 World Series titles. There's something special about this group. Has there been something that you've learned why this group is so special?
Well, I mean, talent is the first thing. But I mean, like I was just saying, before covering the A's full time at the Chronicle, I worked for the Sacramento Bee for a while and did some A's and Giants coverage at that point. And I think one of the things that always stood out about those the Giants teams that went to the World Series, I covered the World Series runs in 12 and 14, was just that they had a sense of when it mattered, they could turn it on. And it was kind of hit or miss whether how well that served them, because there were the years in between where they weren't able to get into the playoffs, and maybe during the middle of the season, just kind of that sense of, hey, when it matters, we can turn it on, might have undermined them a little bit. I don't know if that was the case or not, but that it always felt like if they could get to the point where it's playoff time or it's September and it's time to make that push, they did have another sort of level that they could rise to. I think, this team having ducked in at midseason, I missed that sort of first couple of months where they got off to kind of a cold start, and then, like we talked about, they were missing Altuve, who's just such an important part of their team, their offense. I mean, you saw what he did in the Texas series, the Boston series. That's one thing that I think has really stood out about being around the team every day, is just seeing sort of the different ways he regularly impacts games, or just the way that he regularly impacts the offense. When they have him up there at the top, it's just different. So that's one thing that stood out about it. But back to your original question, I do feel like, now that it's getting down the stretch here, a few weeks left, there is just kind of a sense of confidence. And something that they refer to a lot is just that they know how good of a team they are, and they've played up to that level, I think, more maybe over the last month and a half or so, at least since in the second half, since the break, than before it.
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes here, and Alvarez is hot. Jose Abreu's now hot. Altuve obviously smoking hot. Kyle Tucker been hot all year long. Bregman's hot. It's just like down the line, they're all hot, right? And as you said, they've been beating the crap out of everybody. It's been real interesting. Who is, though, the leader? Who is the guy? Who does everybody look to? Who is the guy? Who's got the it factor? Who's the leader in the clubhouse? This is like getting to know your enemy, by the way. Now it's like we've gotten you to infiltrate them. We want to know about them, Matt. Who's the number one villain in that club? Who's the it factor guy? Who's the leader?
I think Bregman is one of them for sure. He is just kind of a steadying presence. He's probably going to play unless Dusty decides to rest him he's only rested in one game so far. He's played in all but one of their games so far this season. And they have an off day every week for the rest of the season, so he could play in 161 out of 162.
Wait. Bregman's played in every game but
except one. Yeah.
Don't tell George Kirby that. Whatever you do not tell George Kirby, do not tell a lot of these players that Bregman has played every day but one, because and he hasn't been to the hospital, right?
He hasn't. No, he's gotten better as the season has gone on.
He's showing up like in a wheelchair or crutches every day. He's actually been able to play all these games.
He's mobile. He is on the field moving around. And also, I mean, they've had some blowouts recently, right? They've had some blowout wins, and in the late innings of those, you'll see Dusty take he's taking Tucker out in the late innings to get him a little bit of a rest, taking Alvarez out. Brantley was coming back from the shoulder surgery, so he'll come out. Bregman never comes out. Like if they're up by 10 runs in the 8th inning and Dusty's emptying the bench, but Bregman's still there. Like he plays every inning of every game. I think that really resonates. So I think that's one reason that he is one of the leaders. I think Martín Maldonado is also a guy there, and he's a bit of a lightning rod is something that I've learned with Astros fans. Like there's a group of Astros fans who are I think just are real critical, and others who are real behind him. But in the clubhouse, he matters a lot, and with the pitching staff, definitely matters a lot.
What is the one thing, now that you've been there a while, that you go, I had no idea about that with the Astros?
Ooh. I don't know. That's a good question. I'd have to think about that a little bit. I haven't. Let's come back to that one. I'll come up with something.
Yeah, because there's always like you go in there, you're in their yard, you get to talk to people, but there's always like once you get settled in, because I'm sure that people, if you've never been to Oakland, like just how big of a difference is like the Oakland A's versus the Houston Astros?
How big of a difference is it?
Yeah, just what the whole vibe, everything about, like the big difference. I mean, we're in division, but we're in two different states, far away from each other. What is the difference between the two franchises?
Well, I think right now it's informed a lot just by where they're at, right? Like what's happened in the last few years, or what's happening right now in Oakland, and the uncertainty about how much longer the team's going to be there, what the organization is going through. I mean, they're completely different worlds in the moment. Just because the Astros are in this incredible sustained run that they're in right now, and the A's are going through both organizationally and as a business this period of transition, right? So I think going from just a real kind of atmosphere of instability or just uncertainty of not knowing exactly what the future looks like or what even the present looks like. There's so many moving parts in Oakland that going from that to the biggest difference is probably just the continuity that they've had in Houston with both success and both the pieces of that success in the last few years. The lineup, the key players who have been here for a few years right now, and just that's probably the biggest difference. Just from
what's interesting about that, though, is they kind of remind me of the Patriots, and I wonder if someone would ever do a book about functioning at a high level with chaos around you, because there's been a lot of chaos around the Astros. There's also been, as Jim Crane said on the field after they won the World Series, we've got a 5-year plan to be able to replace anybody on this field. So as much as you think there's stability, you know that in that front office, they've got a plan to replace every single guy in that clubhouse in 5 years. So it's like, yeah, they've got that kind of continuity, but it always seems like that could be fragile and guys could be gone. I mean, Verlander's just come back, but he was gone. Garrett Cole's gone. Correa's gone. They've had major pieces leave. They are a fascinating case study, and I think a lot like the New England Patriots too.
Yeah, in the next few years, I think, to your point, in the next few years, it'll be interesting to see who stays, who doesn't, because there will be guys who are coming up to free agent years. Maybe 2 years from now, I think Bregman and Tucker will be this offseason. I'm sure there is when they're going to try to get that. He would seem to be the next in line to do the extension thing, but the size of contracts or large free agent deals. I mean, Jose Abreu's free agent deal this past offseason is the biggest free agent deal that the Astros have given out in Jim Crane's tenure, and that was 3 years and $58.5.
Yeah.
The big deals that they've done are the extensions of their own guys in house, but I mean, Tucker is going to command a lot. He's that. I mean, going back to an earlier question, the all around player that Tucker is, I think that's something you see a little bit from outside, but just see it watching every day. I mean, he was the constant in their lineup for this throughout the season when either guys were hurt or not producing as well, as struggling in the first half. He really kept them, I think, afloat throughout the whole thing. And he's not the biggest personality, so he probably flies under the radar a little bit, but he's really important. But he'll be coming up. Bregman in a couple of years. What happens there? Framber Valdez. So these are guys who have been important for them. In the next few years it'll be interesting to see how they change. But on the other hand, they are, I think, the Verlander trade at midseason this year, where they went into that. I mean, their general manager Dana Brown, in the couple of weeks before the trade deadline, was talking about how we don't want to mortgage the farm for a short-term solution. And then they went and traded their 2 top prospects to bring back Justin Verlander. And he wasn't like a rental in the sense that he's still under contract for the next year, but that was a very win now move. And so I think, they know their window is very much open right now, and it's been open every year, right? But I don't know how much longer it stays open, but it's very much open right now. They want to try to take advantage of that right now.
It's part of the chaos that I'm kind of mentioning. Like Dana Brown, there's already people who think, that move right there, that was done by Jim Crane. Jim Crane, even before that, was the guy that negotiated the last deal with Verlander when he was on his honeymoon in Italy. So it's always like, all right, who really is the GM? Who's making the calls? That's very interesting. By the way, we're going to get into this next. Is there any talk down there about the whole Trout situation? Are people bringing it up?
Trout situation
about potentially the Angels trading Trout?
That's not something that I've heard talked about here. No.
Okay. Are you a big burger guy?
Not a huge burger guy. Do you have recommendations here?
Well, I was going to say, have you gone to Whataburger yet?
No, I haven't done the comparison thing.
That's a Houston staple. Staple, I should say. I was going to say, are you an In-N-Out or Water? Because everybody's got their, because down in the South, especially in Houston, they're going to tell you Whataburger is the best. Now, the only time I've been to Whataburger was 2:30 in the morning, and it was one of the most delicious things I've ever had. But
that'll help, yeah.
The condition I was in, you could have basically had anything. But my experience with Whataburger was outstanding. But so I just want to know,
I'll get back to you on that.
Let's end on this. How's living in Houston? Because obviously far different being in South Texas versus living in Northern California.
Yeah, it's real hot. It's funny timing for the Ace coming, right? Because the last 2 days have probably been like the most moderate days, and by moderate I mean like it's 95 to 97 instead of 105 to 110. But yeah, for the last 2 months it has just been real hot, and the humidity is different. Like I grew up in Sacramento, so like it gets hot there.
Yeah.
But the humidity is different. Like it was a big change. But we've also been on the road. Like they were on the road for probably 60% of the games between like doing the change and probably the end of mid-August or something like that. So it feels like it's just been a lot of time in different cities and everything. So I'm still trying to get to learn Houston. But one thing I have learned is that summer is different.
I got to tell you, I walked by and your chair's there empty, and I miss you. I miss
it's a great spot. Somebody should go hang out and sit there.
I know, it just sits there empty now. It's lonely. It's like you're gone. It's almost like we did the cardboard cutouts in 2020. I almost want to put the cardboard cutout of you there to remember you by, because you're the guy that was always there and you're not there anymore. We definitely miss you, but congratulations on a great gig. The Houston Chronicle is an outstanding paper, and you're covering one of the best. So we're always going to be calling on you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to talk to you. That spot also is where the possum came in from the ceiling. So if you ever want to go see if the possum's back, then you just have to crawl up or walk up those 2 steps and look up in the corner.
Hey, I bet they got a lot of weird stuff floating around that place with being in Texas. They got a lot of in Houston, as you said, the environment's kind of swampy in some places. Who knows what's rolling around in their ballpark?
Yeah, the bugs are big too. A lot of large insects.
Take care, buddy. You be well. We're proud of you.
All right, you too. Good to talk to you.
Matt Kawahara used to cover the Athletics, now with the Houston Chronicle. You said Fran Rear. We got a break. Fran's not till when? 4?
Yeah, I was just saying that so we can get the so we can play the music for him. I'm like the Bill.
You ever had Whataburger?
I have, yes.
What'd you think?
It was fine. I'm a bird. I'm going to say some people are going to be mad, but I just don't.
You're not a food guy.
No, I just.
No, you're not.
When it comes to, I'm sorry. I think In-N-Out is overrated.
But you're not a food guy. Like we can't. You're not a steak connoisseur. You're not a barbecue connoisseur. You don't eat seafood, so you're not a food guy.
So I'm the only person on the planet that doesn't eat seafood. Because I've met more people that haven't that have.
But they have a lot of seafood restaurants.
Oh,
so
yeah.
obviously,
well, so same with here.
But I'm saying it's like I can't. You're not a. Food's not your thing. You eat, obviously, but you're not like. You're never going to get a job as a food critic at a paper.
No, I thought Whataburger, the burger was good there, but when people go, what's the difference between that and In-N-Out? I just don't. I can't wait in line at In-N-Out for an hour to get a hamburger that I can make at home.
I honestly can't give you my assessment of Whataburger.
You got to go back. I did mine so.
It was like 2:30 in the morning.
Was it at the airport?
No.
Oh, I did it at the airport.
I was with the Raiders. We were taking on the Houston Texans. It was a long night out. It was a great night. I was in a bar in Houston that had a back bar. It's a famous bar. I still have pictures of it. So it's a bar, but then they have a back bar that's just all Magnum PI.
I've heard about this bar.
It's incredible. I'm like, come on, is this real? You walk in, everything. They've got all this old Magnum PI merch. Every drink is a Magnum PI name. They got Magnum PI on the TVs. I mean, it is hilarious.
Do the bartenders have mustaches?
Oh, yeah, everybody's dressed in Magnum PI Hawaiian. I'm like, you're in Houston, Texas. You're in a Magnum PI. But it's not the actual, it's just the back bar. It's a bar inside a bar. So there's like a regular bar that you go into. You would know until you go to the back and go through a special door. You're now in the Magnum PI bar. It blew my mind. So you can imagine the mindset I was in when I was eating that Whataburger burger at 2:30 in the morning. It was delicious. But then again, anything probably would have been delicious at that point.
Yeah, I've only had it at the airport in Dallas. I think it was when we were flying back from.
You can't judge something on the airport.
No, that's why I said, I actually need to go to Whataburger one, but I don't have any plans to go back to Texas.
It was a big burger, and it was delicious.
Unless I'm going back
to
watch.
But my state of mind was a little fuzzy. I also got us into a Rockets game. We went to a Rockets game. So I can say I've been to a Rockets game. So I got to walk on the old floor that they won the championships on.
Is that
Hakeem the Dream?
Toyota Center, is that what it's called? I think it's what the arena is.
I have no idea.
Tillman Fertitta.
It's changed how many times?
Yeah.
It's a cool arena. I liked it. The Rockets. I like Houston. I like every play. You can find fun everywhere. It wasn't hot, though. It was football season at that point.
You found fun in Cincinnati?
Huh?
You found fun in Cincinnati?
I found fun in Cincinnati. Cincinnati's awful.
That's why I brought it up. I knew you don't like Cincinnati.
Well, remember, we went across because it's just a bridge that separates Kentucky and Ohio. Mm-hmm. So you literally, they share the airport. You don't fly into Cincinnati. You fly in Kentucky and bus over to Cincinnati. Right across the river are the old Kentucky whiskey bars. So we went, we talk old. Old. And when you walk in there, they all turn around and they know you're not from there. Right? We all walked in and it was like, who are these boys? We're not from Kentucky. But I'll tell you what, they had some of the coolest Big Red Machine memorabilia I've ever seen, all bolted into the walls. But it was like Big Red Machine, pictures of them all signed. And I'm sitting there because, all the Raider people, they don't care, right? And I'm sitting there in this Kentucky whiskey bar. And I'm like going, this stuff's worth a lot of money. I mean, this is signed by everybody. This is signed by Joe Morgan, Johnny Bench, Pete Rose, George Foster, like all of them. Perez, Sparky, all of them. I'm like, this stuff. And, as we get along, some are not with us anymore. It becomes more valuable. This old school, everybody's smoking cigarettes, drinking whiskey. Everybody's probably looks 15 years older than they are. It's unbelievable. I'm sitting here going, these guys got a lot of money worth of merch here. Kentucky.
I've only ever driven through Kentucky.
Cincinnati. What did I do? I ended up at it was this big pizza place that turned into a night spot in Cincinnati. I don't even know one of the nights we were there. I don't even know how I got there. I ended up there. And I was like, wait a minute, this is a pizza place? Because what happens is when you travel with a team, you always hook up with people. And who is our old Connor Cook?
Oh, yeah.
Hooked up with Connor Cook, the
XFL great.
Michigan State Spartan, former Raider quarterback. He was playing for the Bengals at the time. So we hooked up with Connor Cook, and he started taking us around. And you always end up at spots. You always end up places that you shouldn't be.
Raiders playoff starter, Connor Cook.
Yeah, the only rookie to ever start a playoff game. And it was his only start.
It was very unfortunate.
Jack Del Rio, I did the TV show with Jack Del Rio, and that week he came in and he was like, we got no chance. Well, because there's never been a rookie to ever start a playoff game. It's his first start ever. That's never happened. And there's a reason. And yep, that was it.
We've seen a couple rookies since, right? Well, Brock Purdy did it last year, but
no.
I'm talking
your
about since
first
then. Yeah.
ever start is the playoffs. You're a rookie, and your first ever start is the playoff game. That's never happened in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, well, he was put in a bad spot. By the way, speaking of Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, highest paid quarterback in the league, and lays an egg in game one. I'm sure Cincinnati.
What's the problem?
I'm sure Cincinnati's
Did
happy.
You see the outfit he wore walking into the game, the all white with the chain? It was beautiful.
And they put up 3 points. It's the same. Monday morning quarterback. I'm not saying season's over for Cincinnati, but
oh God, do you know what it's like to do a show with someone like Cody? Already week one. Well, like I said, Raiders are going to the Super Bowl.
Steelers season's over.
Yeah, week one. Let's all make the decisions on week one. Deion Sanders already won the national championship in Colorado.
We mean no.
Nick Saban's out,
and he's going to Alabama. Saban's going back to the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Saban's going back to the NFL.
What happened? That's weird. We're not off the air.
We're not off the air, but they can't see us.
Can
you still hear us at athletics.com/AceCast?
Yeah, it says we're still plugged in. Oh, that came out.
Oh, that's not true. It's not all plugged in.
Well, we can go to break now while the cameras reboot.
All right. The great Fran Reardon, manager of the Las Vegas Aviators, trying to get into the postseason. He'll join us next right here on A's Cast Live. This is Chris Townsend and Commander Cody for Link Soul. You got to go to their website right now, linksoul.com. The new polos are unbelievable. New colors, lighter weight. We got our new summer shipment, Cody.
I couldn't be happier. I look better. All thanks to Link Soul.
So we're talking about new polos. You can check out their shorts, anything you need for summer. They have it right now. When you go to their website, they've got a smoking summer deal. Go to linksoul.com. That's linksoul.com.
Chevron with Techron has unbeatable engine cleaning power, and it gives you unbeatable mileage for all kinds of unbeatable destinations, like time in the sun at the beach, or time in the sun riding roller coasters, or a day in the sun hiking mountains. Well, probably just one mountain would be enough for a day, but hiking a mountain is still an unbeatable choice for how to spend time. Download the Chevron app now to get unbeatable mileage at locations near you.
Watch parties aren't what they used to be ever since we got Xfinity. Now that kids can easily stream all their favorite stuff, they just have to worry about what's on the charcuterie board.
Are these just cut up hot dogs and spray cheese?
The best way to stream your favorites is on the Xfinity 10G network. Now through September 21st, get Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 2 years when you add Xfinity Mobile. Plus, add Now TV for $20 a month. Switch today. Requires paperless bill and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile and Now TV require Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rate supply, actual speeds vary.
Hey, it's Eno Saris, your friendly neighborhood baseball scribe. There are two things I love, baseball and beer. When I'm not busy around the ballpark, you'll likely catch me back with a cold one at any of Fieldwork Brewing's 8 locations sprinkled across the Bay Area. Fieldwork's got a rotating lineup of over 20 beers on tap that's as diverse as any 26-man roster. They got everything from super juicy hazy IPAs to crisp pilsners and tropical sours that make your taste buds do the wave. Whether you're all about that draft life or prefer to grab some cans to go, Fieldwork's got your bases covered. Check them out at fieldworkbrewing.com to learn more. That's fieldworkbrewing.com.
Celebrate Latin and Hispanic Heritage Night at the ballpark. Join your A's on Saturday, September 16th as we celebrate the people, culture, and traditions through live music and games.
3-2 pitch, and Jordan hits a deep drive to left. Cabrera going back at the track, right to the wall. He will watch it fly. And Jordan Diaz has a 3-homer game.
And take your sock game to the next level with our giveaway featuring commemorative socks presented by Chevrolet. Grab your tickets now at athletics.com/tickets.
If you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see our friends at the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game times, schedules, and more.
Summertime is golf time in the Bay Area, and that means it's time to enjoy the beautiful vistas, 27 holes of championship golf, and all the amenities that Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Cinnabar Hills gives you a variety on the course and in their amazing grill. They're ready to give you an incredible experience for any family, business, or social gathering. Nestled in the quiet hills of San Jose, summertime fun awaits you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club. Learn more at cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com.
A's Cast Live continues from the studio. Here's Chris Townsend.
The Bills make me wanna shout, kick your heels up and shout, throw your hands up and shout, throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout.
That is amazing.
Is that good?
That is so good.
Oh,
I couldn't be
come
happier
on.
right now, Chris.
Dun, 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 dun. Monday Night Football. That's the way to, you know what? When you think about the road to the Super Bowl for the Buffalo Bills starts with Monday Night Football in New York. You get to get after Aaron Rodgers, take them down week 1. Does it get any better than this, Fran?
No, it doesn't. This is a pretty exciting opening week for the Bills, and it'll be interesting to see how Aaron Rodgers is in New York. And I'm in Texas right now, so being able to watch the Bills on an off day in Texas doesn't get any better.
Yeah, I was thinking about it like, oh yeah, you guys got Mondays off, and think about just what it means for the Bills. This is the year, right? It's been building up. You got your quarterback. He seems like he's on every commercial, Verizon commercial now. He's getting his love. It's like, this is it, right? Brady's gone. Miami might be a problem. Let's be honest. Miami might be a problem, but this division right now, this is your destiny is in your own hands.
I agree. The division is pretty tough, though. I mean, you mentioned Miami, and we'll see how the Jets are. They obviously have a very good defense, and see how Rodgers does. But it's not a cupcake division at all, and it'll be interesting to see how we come out this year.
Just how nice has it been to have that set day off, where it's like a Monday, where everybody knows, whether I just need to relax, I got to pay some bills, I got to do some laundry, or even when you're on the road, just get your feet up. It's been obviously a long season. AAA plays a long season. Just how big is it to know that you got this one day and you can count on it every single week?
It's great because there's not a lot of stability in the minor league lifestyle. And to have that stability of having the 1 day a week off, what day it is. We travel a lot, so that's usually our flight day if we're going on the road or if we're coming home. And it just gives you a little buffer zone in between the 6-game series we play to just kind of regroup, recharge, relax, and depending on what you're doing, depending on where you are, get a nice dinner, do something fun in whatever town you're in. And I can't tell you how much I enjoy the one day off a week.
How much do you talk to your players about, hey, what you need to do, what's best for you? As you mentioned, sometimes it's about having fun. Sometimes it's about having rest. How much do you guys have those discussions with the players?
Just kind of conversations about work, life, baseball balance in general, because all these guys have a lot of stuff going on, and you can't grind on one thing too much, or else it'll consume you. You do need the mental relaxation, the physical relaxation sometimes, and at the same time, when we go back to work tomorrow, we'll get to work, we'll get after it, and play hopefully the best baseball of the season, these last 12 games of the regular season.
The minor league season is so interesting because of all the player movement. You got to deal with all of that. We've talked to you before about, hey, the number one thing is getting guys ready to come up and play at the big league level, and you're going to lose guys. You're going to have guys come back, guys go up. But in the end, you want to win. You're super competitive. You guys are playing well here in the second half. You're leading as we speak over Reno. What is that like as a manager to where you have this roller coaster ride of all these different things going on that you need to prepare and get ready for? But in the end, still you as a manager, you want to win.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. We want to win every game. And I think if you just have the mentality that every day is like a different movie, there's a very slim chance you're going to have the same roster in AAA for, best case scenario, more than a week at a time. And this season's been no different. I don't think we've had the same roster for 3 days in a row, let alone a week. But it's just part of the game. It's part of the job, and it's part of the fun and challenge of, no matter who you have on the roster that day, no matter who's pitching, who's in the bullpen, if they've taken 5-year guys, or you're getting 5 other guys, but they're traveling, so you're short. It's just part of it, and you just have to make do on any given day. And I think our staff and players have done a good job of that this year.
How much do you think that's made you a better manager?
Well, I certainly think it helps me with my ability to adapt, adjust, be fluid, understanding that it happens. I've been doing this for a decent amount of time now, and I'd like to say that nothing surprises me, but sometimes you get a curveball and it's like, whoa, that's never happened before. But I think it has helped me. I think it has helped me improve with my ability to think and react and judge certain things on the fly, and just go with the flow and go with what we have on any given night.
Yeah, I believe, and you're very humble, but I believe you're going to manage in the big league someday. And I just wonder, when you do have these long series, when you do have stuff that's abnormal to the big league level, the type of preparation, how that prepares you. Because I think the one thing that we don't talk about enough with managers is the chaos that you got to deal with on and off the field. You're dealing with human beings. You're dealing with guys, especially older guys who have wives and families and kids. There's a lot of things that you have to deal with that you will have to deal with at the big league level. That's why just all this chaos around you, to me, seems like great preparation for the big leagg job.
I agree. And being able to have the demeanor in the midst of chaos that, like I talked about earlier, the lack of stability for a lot of things that happen in minor league baseball, just to be that stable presence and that kind of hopefully calming presence when things go awry or things are happening quickly. And like you said, the human side of it, where these guys all have different lives, personalities, family situations, come from all different places. And yeah, I think it does kind of help just to have the experience of just trying to remain as calm as you can in any of these situations.
When you have some guys who are on a little bit of the younger side, how important is it to finish the journey, where we talk about getting through that long season? Because not only at the big league level, but at the AAA level, these guys, some of these young guys, it's the most games they've ever played in a year.
Yeah, and that's you have to give these guys a lot of credit, because I don't have to have a lot of conversations with them about their work ethic or what they're doing to prepare their bodies, what they're doing to prepare their minds before games. It's just a very professional group that I have a lot of trust in, that they're going to do the right thing, before games, during games, after games. And that's really a sign of a good group of people, a good group of players. And I think the results are starting to come on the field because we're playing our best baseball when, they should be at their most tired. They should be at their most beat up. They should be, not putting out their best efforts. And we're seeing the opposite. So a lot of credit to those guys.
How cool is the playoffs when you get in and everybody knows each other? There's like no secrets. You guys have played so many games and you play, 6-game series are crazy to think you play the same guys over and over again. Just what take us through what the playoffs are like.
Well, I tell you what, these 6-game series and going into hopefully a playoff berth, you you almost have to try new things, think of new things, new plays, new signs, new positioning, whatever the case is, just something that maybe can give you a competitive edge, because we have seen these teams so many times throughout the course of a 150-game season. But at the end of the day, the question was, how is it to make the playoffs? And it's unbelievable. We won the division in 2019 and went to the playoffs, the first team in Aviators history, and we've positioned ourselves to do the same thing. And the guys have bought in. The guys are excited. The guys are playing for that reason right now. I mean, among others. And a lot of times in AAA seasons, at the end of the year, if you're not playing for much, it's tough to motivate guys. It's tough to get guys to dig deep and finish out the last 10, 15, 20 games. And another thing that we don't have to worry about. These guys are engaged. They're locked into what they're doing, and they're playing a really intense, really fun, really focused type of baseball right now.
It's one thing when a guy wears you out for 3 straight games. In these long series, how do you handle a offensive player who's either worn you out throughout the season or he's worn you out, like, let's just say, the first 4 games? I mean, at some point you get tired of a guy wearing your ass out. So, what kind of changes? What do you do going, I'm tired of this guy beating me? How do you go about that?
That is such a great question, because there's always one guy every team we play that will just kill us. Yeah. And we'll try to mix up our approach with him. We'll try to pitch him differently. We'll try to pitch him inside, knock him off the dish a little bit. And for whatever reason, and our guys do it to other teams too. I think it's just across the game in the PCL. There's always one guy that just kills you for the series and maybe kills you for the season. And it's just a confidence thing with him. It's just maybe he feels comfortable playing against the Aviators or whatever the case is. You're just always trying to make adjustments that, if he lines out a couple times, you're like, well, at least we got him out a couple times. But that's definitely an issue, and it's a great question.
All right, so some of the players that we've been looking at, now that you've got to see Darell Hernandez, we know he's an offensive player. He's still young. What do you view as his future defensively? Shortstop, third? Where do you view him defensively long term?
I mean, I think he can play all three, third, short, and second. He's played probably 90% of his games here at shortstop, and he's done a really nice job. He works very hard at it. He wants to stay at the shortstop position. There's been some people that have told him, hey, you might end up a second baseman. You might end up a third baseman. And at the end of the day, he wants to play in the big leagues. And I don't care. I don't think he would care much if he was playing at second base or third base in the big leagues. But at the same time, he's got a really, really high belief in his skill set to play shortstop. And that's what he wants to do in the big leagues. And I just don't doubt that this kid can do anything that he wants to do, because he has such incredible self-belief and confidence in his abilities. And I just wouldn't put anything past Darell, because I think he's that good of a player.
All right. Speaking of second base, I came up with this over the weekend. A guy that used to play for you, he's now starring for the Oakland Athletics, is Zach Geloff. We've been trying to come up with a comp, but it's like I'm a dinosaur now when I bring people up, because all these young people that I work with, they have no idea. I was trying to think, who does he remind me of? I came up with Ryan Sandberg. What do you think about that as a comp for Zach Geloff?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty high praise, but I would say that Zach has the ability to turn in the kind of career that Ryan Sandberg turned in. I mean, just so athletic and so gifted on both sides of the ball, the way he runs bases, his mindset and the way he goes about everything. Yeah, that's a really good one, actually. I wouldn't call you a dinosaur for saying that.
Fran, you would have thought I was talking about a guy in the 1930s.
It's not like you dropped a Honus Wagner on him.
I mean, I felt like I was like sharpening spikes, taking trains, playing in wool uniforms. That's what I like. Ryan Sandberg, like I forget a lot of these kids. Because the reason why I went with Sandberg is Sandberg early in his career ran a lot. Like there was a year he had 54 stolen bases, multiple years he had 30. He's 6'1", Geloff's about 6'2". There's a lot of, when you look at their games, seem very similar. And I've just been looking for a comp. And I like that one. Brett Harris, how is he doing?
Well, he's doing great. Are you asking about how he's doing on the field or how he's doing physically after getting hit with a 97-mile-an-hour fastball in the face?
I didn't see that. My God, is he all right? I didn't know about that.
Yeah, honestly, it was best case scenario. I mean, he took it flush in the face and he handled absolute champ. But yeah, there's no facial fractures, and he still has all his teeth. He had to get 6 stitches in his lip, and he's got some concussion symptoms. But all things being equal, it was really the best case scenario for taking that kind of violent hit by pitch. But before that, he was fantastic. Playing a great third base and hitting the ball real well and making adjustments that he needed to make. And hopefully, he only gets to miss a few games and get back on the field for us.
Are you excited for a lot of your guys for this coming spring training that that, I mean, we're going to have just a massive fight everywhere for jobs. I can't wait. It's going to be a bunch of young guys. We're all going to be there. Let's fight it out for who's going to be the 26. I think you got a lot of guys on your roster that got a shot next year. Are you excited for that?
I am. We have a lot of really good, young, hungry players. And, I've had conversations about that exact thing, going into spring training next year and fighting for a spot on the big league roster. And there is going to be quite a few people from this roster that are going to, make those bids and make those pushes to make the big league team. And I think it's exciting. I think anytime there's competition for the highest level in sports, it's a good thing for the organization, for the players, for a winning environment, a winning atmosphere, because the competition in spring training and usually spills over into the competition of the season. And the more good players you have competing for those spots, chances are the better off your major league team is going to be. So I think it's going to be a really good spring training next year.
One more on the team, Joey Estes. What have we seen so far? I believe he's still 21 or just turned 22.
Yeah, he's going to be really good for how young he is, how mature he is, how poised he is on the mound, the way he competes, his focus, his energy. You can see it in the way people defend behind him. He is really good tempo, and I haven't even started talking about his stuff, which is really good as well. He's taken some learning curve lumps that a lot of people take when they come up to a different level. And he's smart as a whip and is doing a really nice job of making adjustments. And I think he's got a really bright future ahead of him.
Well, back to football, the most important thing here. You realize Super Bowl's in Las Vegas. So when the Bills are in the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, you're not going to have to make crazy travel plans. You got the place to stay. The lay of the land. This is going to be an easy Super Bowl for you.
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. But
what are you talking about? You got to believe. If you don't believe, you can't get there.
You got to believe. I appreciate the confidence. Hey, I will tell you a great story. Well, like I said, we just landed in Austin and drove to Round Rock. And it's an off day, and the staff is looking for a place to watch the game. And the Anchor Bar is the original chicken wing restaurant, started in Buffalo, 75 years ago.
The Mojo.
Yeah. Well, guess what? There's an Anchor Bar franchise here in Round Rock, of all places. Is that not a sign?
Call my bookie and let's put all our money on the Bills to win the Super Bowl. It's out in front of us right now.
Yeah. So we're heading over there after this call, actually, and we're going to, belly up to about 200 chicken wings and watch the Bills beat the Jets tonight.
You're telling me a franchise that started in Buffalo is in Austin, Texas?
Yeah, and there's not even a lot of. There's maybe 5 franchises of this place in the entire country, and one of them's in Texas.
What in the Jim Kelly is going on? That is a sign.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, I'm very happy for your, but do you have it? Monday Night Football. As a Raider fan, going in week 1, winning in Denver, your first win in division in a tough place to play is huge. You go in week 1, it's only week 1, but you go into New York, Aaron Rodgers win week 1 on the road in division. People really don't realize when you talk about how hard it is to win in sports, it's hard to win in the NFL on the road in division. This will really be huge for you guys.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully a great way to start the season, and hopefully a fun game. It should be fun to watch 2 offenses and 2 really good defenses battle it out. So we'll see. Looking for AFC East domination tonight for the Bills.
Chicken wings, beer, Monday Night Football, and a Bills win. Go have fun, my friend, and we always appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you when you guys are in the playoffs.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Little Monday Night Football talk there with the great Fran Reard, the leader of men. That is a sign.
I mean, when you only have a couple franchises and one of them's in.
There's like a couple franchises out of Buffalo, and it's in Austin, Texas. If that is not a sign, isn't that? And by the way, you're old when you still use the word bookie. Right. Get the bookie. No one has bookies anymore. Why is that? I mean, everybody I know for some reason in California has ways to bet.
It's called They Have a Guy. That's right. So
It's not have a guy. They're betting phone, and I don't know how. I don't know.
I don't gamble, so I don't know.
I only gamble when I'm in the great state of Nevada, the Silver State, and then it's legal, according to the seminar I watched.
Correct. I just don't do it. Never have.
Yeah,
besides fantasy,
my betting
football.
My betting days are over. Those, you don't win. It's fun to go on the guys' trip and you sit there and bet college football all day long. Then you bet pro football. You get on the plane and you come home. It's a weekend. If you blow the money, these guys, you're always chasing. You're always losing. It's just, it's no fun. Games are miserable. Oh, I need juice on the game. Oh, how many games you need to lose? And you're like, yeah, this is not fun having juice on the game. How many people last night were feeling good? Oh, yeah, Giants.
Big Blue.
Both were in the playoffs last year at home. Bad weather, blah, blah, blah. How'd that work out?
Well, it was great for the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys were favorites, so I guess they would have covered the
Yeah,
spread.
you thought you were getting 3.5, something like that?
Well, they only covered.
If you're the Giants, you're at home. You're a playoff team. Yeah, if you're the Cowboys, how many people bet the Giants last night?
Yeah.
First game.
Bad showing for Big Blue and Daniel Jones, that new contract.
Had that Seahawks favored by 5.5 work out?
Rams looked good yesterday. Matthew Stafford.
Broncos were favored over my Raiders. How'd that work out?
Sean Payton, huh?
Chargers were favored over the Tua and the Dolphins.
That was a really good game.
That was a crazy game. Tom Brady came back. Yeah, that didn't matter.
He rang the bell or whatever.
Niners covered. I ended up watching that halftime last night on YouTube. Come on, man. He's the greatest of all time.
Oh, you can't say that around here. They're going to tell you it's Montana.
No.
Montana never lost Super Bowl.
I have all the respect in the world for Joe Montana. Joe Montana's number 2. Actually, Joe Montana said Dan Marino's number 1, which I would agree with. When it comes to throwing the football, nobody threw like Marino.
Oh, so you're saying Dan Marino, great thrower of the football.
Oh, my God, he's a thrower of the football. Oh, my God, Dan Marino. Dan Marino played when you could still molest the wide receivers. Can you imagine if Dan Marino played with rules today? Oh, my God. Tom Brady's the greatest. Come on. 6 Super Bowls in New England. Then he went to Tampa and won another one. Come on.
People in Tampa don't even know who he is anymore. It's all Baker Mayfield. That's sarcasm, but Baker Mayfield is 1-0 as a Bucs starter.
And it just shows breaking up's hard to do because, that was tough. Can you imagine you grow up a Tom Brady fan? Next thing you know, Tom Brady is leading Tampa Bay. You're the Patriots, and you're a little kid in New England, and Tom Brady's in a stupid Buccaneer uniform and Gronk.
Yeah, that's true.
How
Cross.
disgusted you would be. Oh, my God. But he was kissing Kraft, telling him he loved him yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that news.
Bengals are favored by 2.5. How'd that work out? How'd your Vikings do favored by 6?
That was a bad. They were 11-0 in close games last year, and they already lost one this year.
Hey, Chiefs.
Dan Campbell, he's going to bite your kneecaps.
Raiders the only team undefeated in the AFC West. Book it.
I think going into the, by the way, this is college football real quick. Going into the Cal Stanford thing, the Pac-12 was undefeated until Stanford and Cal both lost.
Exactly. Get those ACC clowns out of here. By the way, Stanford, I think San Jose State, the way we played SC, now that you've seen SC roll Reno, and I mean, we were with them at half.
Yeah.
Like, people were kind of nervous at SC. I was at the game. People were like, oh, boy, there was a dead stadium. The way Stanford just got rolled, Reno got rolled, just shows you San Jose State's a little better than you think.
Stanford
sucks.
That was not a good showing. And
Stanford sucks.
by the way, there's a throw Caleb Williams had in the red zone where he flicked it sidearm, and it's like, wow, this guy.
Do you realize how arrogant? And one is my dearest, oldest friend. She's a Stanford grad. She's a former Stanford cheerleader, song girl, whatever the hell they call them. I cannot believe there was like 25 guys who left Stanford in the portal. How could you leave a Stanford education?
I can tell you right now.
How could you leave? Like, the odds are you won't even be in the NFL. A Stanford education is priceless. See, that's how they think at Stanford. See you later. We're out of here. I'm like, who do you think's going to go to Stanford anytime soon? Stanford football is done until you were done with Walt Harris and Buddy Tevens. It wasn't until Jim Harbaugh resurrected your ass. We might not see in our lifetime Stanford football be good again. They're going to be nomads. You're not going to have any top players want to come play at Stanford in the ACC. And you're going to get the smart kids. That's great. You going to get a Christian McCaffrey again?
No.
Andrew
Luck?
You're going to get Andrew Luck? No. Stanford's going to be a dog with Cal. You might as well wrap up the program. And Cal is so in debt. And you know what I heard? How much time I got? You want me to break a little big-time news?
No, we actually have to go.
UCLA is in such debt right now. They had to fall. SC felt like they had to take these clowns with them to the Big Ten because UCLA and Cal are so in debt right now. Their athletic departments, it's unbelievable. Just throwing it out. I think the LA Times reported that before me, so I cannot say I'm breaking any news. But yeah, they're in serious debt. UCLA for survival had to go with SC to the Big Ten. Had to, because they're in such financial straits. Yeah, that's what you get here. Where you want. You want A's? You want baseball? You want Nick Saban? Nick Saban's on the hot seat. You heard it here.
Coach Prime, Alabama, before he goes to the NFL.
He's not going.
He might leave mid-season. Go join Alabama.
That would be so weak. No. He's going to be the Cowboys head coach.
I don't know. McCarthy looked pretty good last night.
They're going to gag.
Don't worry. Yeah, it's Cowboys.
They will gag. And then Jerry Jones wants, I'm telling you, Jerry Jones is seeing all the publicity. He wants that kind of publicity. And if it's not Jerry Jones, there's another NFL owner that, folks, I lived through John Gruden getting 10 years, $100 million. I lived that. All right, I got to go. Coming up next, A's Total Access, brought to you by Chevron. This is Chris Townsend and Commander Cody for Link Soul. You got to go to their website right now, linksoul.com. The new polos are unbelievable. New colors, lighter weight. We got our new summer shipment